The story begins with a young man sitting exhausted on a pile of dead bodies, surrounded by collapsed buildings and destruction. He looks up and shouts at his buddy Luo Wei, demanding to know why he betrayed him after they were brothers who fought through life and death together. Luo Wei speaks coldly and tells him to recall the time when strange rifts appeared in the world. Over time, these rifts became known as dungeons, and people who touched them gained mysterious powers called classes. To fight the monsters coming out of those dungeons, Class Core was formed, and they became a part of it and kept conquering dungeon after dungeon. But now, Luo Wei reveals that the young man has become too powerful and uncontrollable. Having surpassed even the triple S rank, he poses the greatest threat to the Empire's stability, and therefore, he must be eliminated. To maintain order, the supreme power must remain with the royal family. Listening to this, the young man, with rage in his eyes, accuses Luo Wei of using this as an excuse to slaughter his family and comrades. Luo Wei simply responds that he is just acting for the stability of the empire, and before the young man can react, Luo Wei triggers a powerful explosion. He reveals that he had already tampered with the young man's armor long ago, and that the explosion will inject a compound poison into his wounds. He coldly states that after such a demanding triple S-rank battle, the young man now lacks any strength to resist him. Adding to this final betrayal, Luo Wei mentions he has also prepared an entire army to ensure the protagonist's death, which he considers his last show of respect. Meanwhile, on the verge of dying, the protagonist recalls memories of his time with Luo Wei. But just then, a system notification appears, informing him that his hidden skill, Mirror World, a triple S rank ability that can revert everything, has finally met its activation conditions, and he can use it. So, with his last bit of consciousness, he selects yes, and then his soul sinks into the dark lake below. Decades later, by a lakeside, a group of boys is torturing another boy named Yun Che by tying him to a tree and submerging his body in the lake. One of them laughs, saying Yun Che is pretending to be dead. He punches Yun Che in the stomach and tells his friend to dunk him again. Yun Che coughs, pleading that he is not faking it. They laugh and mock Yun Che and plan to keep him underwater longer as a lesson. They find his expression funny and intend to pull him out only to beat him more. Yun Che, however, can no longer hold his breath and starts bleeding from his mouth. He wonders inside why he always suffers like this. Just then, something happens and his body starts to glow. Meanwhile, another boy with glasses who is witnessing all this from behind urges them to stop because Yun Che might die. One bully turns around with an arrogant gaze, retorting that if Yun Che is dying, he should heal himself since he is a chanter, though it would not be useful. He then approaches the boy with glasses, puts his arm around his shoulder, and calls him a hypocrite for leading them to Yun Che, blaming him if Yun Che dies. The boy with glasses panics and explains that they forced him. This angers the bully, who prepares to hit him. Suddenly, a powerful light emerges from the lake. The bullies scream in terror and flee, believing a dungeon has appeared right there, and handling a new dungeon is beyond their capabilities. The boy with glasses fixes his attention on Yun Che. Seeing that he is still submerged in the water, he starts running toward the rope because he knows he has to save him. At that moment, the lake dries up completely and monsters begin to appear. The boy with glasses starts to untie the knots, but while he is distracted, one of the monsters lunges at him. Mysteriously, Yun Che, the boy who was tied up, suddenly grabs him by the clothes and pulls him out of the attack's path. Then, he extends his hand and uses a skill called Glacial Impact. The system informs him that he has used basic heal on a minor demon, but the action has failed because the target's HP is already full. The boy with glasses panics, not understanding why Yun Che is healing the monster. Right then, the monster tries to attack again. The boy with glasses summons a shield, blocking the attack just in time. The protagonist, meanwhile, opens his information window and sees that his name is Yun Che, and he has the Chanter class. He realizes he has used a healing spell, and that this is not his original body. He remembers that normally, when someone touches a dungeon, they bind to the system and obtain a random starting class, which should be unchangeable. After that, they grow and become stronger through the dungeon, gaining skills tied to their class. However, he had been a warrior who reached the pinnacle before. He recalls that back then, he had used a skill called Mirror World, and after that, he was trapped in the Mirror World until he heard the dying cry of this boy. Now, he comprehends that he has been revived in that boy's body. This is not a happy thought, but he still thanks the boy for giving him a chance at revenge. Meanwhile, the boy with glasses informs Yun Che that the monsters are surrounding them and asks for immediate help because he can only handle 3 at most. The protagonist knows his new body is too weak, and even these small enemies are beyond his capabilities. With his current speed, he cannot even run away. Opening his skill window, he realizes all his skills are useless. Basic Heal restores 1 to 4 HP to a target, and Entangling Vines summons vines to immobilize a single enemy with a low success rate. The Chanter class is too specialized, with its strengths only in support, and it is outclassed in every other role. It is no wonder this class is always looked down upon. For now, with his old combat instincts, he can only resist briefly. He keeps dodging the monster's attack, knowing he needs a quick way out because he will die if his stamina runs out. Now, the hidden skill Mirror World is his only hope. He dodges another attack without knowing how the skill works and then touches the monster, but the skill fails because the conditions are not met. He does not know if his level is too low or if it needs a real mirror. He tries using the skill on the monster again, and this time at its reflection in water below, but it fails once more due to his insufficient level. He concludes that Mirror World needs a reflective surface to activate, but the level issue cannot be solved yet. So, he decides to try another target. He uses the skill on the monster's weapon, but it fails again due to his low level. He tries the skill on a tattered loincloth, but it also fails for the same reason. The boy with glasses panics and urges him to stop wasting time with his useless skills because he cannot hold on much longer. Right then, a burst of energy descends from the sky and a monster called a malformed overlord, level 10, appears. The boy with glasses knows they are dead because an elite monster like this requires at least level 10 to be defeated. Then, right on cue, several more bursts of energy descend from the sky, and his eyes widen in fear, causing him to fall to the ground as hundreds of fierce monsters appear before them. Yunche is still busy trying his skills, while the monsters begin to charge toward them. He tries using his skill on a small stone but is still denied. He wonders if the level gap is too large. Then, he decides to use his skill on the makeshift shield of the boy with glasses, but the system informs him that it has failed because the skills of others cannot be reversed. This makes him smile. If the system says he cannot reverse others' skills, then this means he can reverse his own. He then immediately uses the skill on his own Entangling Vines skill, and the system reveals that Mirror World has successfully reversed his Entangling Vines and turned them into Chaotic Thorns. Yunche uses Chaotic Thorns, causing thousands of thorns to erupt from the ground. When one of the monsters tries to attack, another monster surrounded by a red aura strikes it, saving the boy with glasses. The boy is confused, not knowing what is happening, but Yunche realizes that the skill's effect has been completely inverted. The Entangling Vines skill normally just entangled a single enemy with a low chance of immobilizing it, but its reversed upgrade, Chaotic Thorns, now cause thorns to lash out at a target with a low chance of inflicting confusion. The monsters are now attacking each other due to the confusion status effect. Yunche cannot help but smile, realizing that a useless skill has become powerful after being reversed. Now, with a grin on his face, he contemplates what would happen if he reversed the rest of his skills. Mirror World truly lives up to its reputation as an SSS rank hidden skill. It not only reverses the effects of skills but also applies an overall enhancement. Yunche realizes that if he had used the non-reverted version of his Entangling Vines skill, the success rate would be low and the duration would only last a second at most, not reaching its current potency. He grabs a sword stuck in the ground and wonders what would happen if he reversed his remaining skills. He then looks at his skill, Empowered Strike. This skill costs 20 mana points, has a duration of 30 seconds, and grants a 5% attack boost to one unit, with the effect ending when the unit consumes mana points. When Yunche reverts this skill using Mirror World, it transforms into Trick Blade. The new skill costs 40 mana points, lasts 60 seconds, and grants a 10% attack boost for each consumption of mana points. He activates Trick Blade, and his sword begins to emanate a powerful aura. Trick Blade has 60 seconds remaining on its duration. He understands that each skill use now grants a 10% boost in attack power. The potential seems incredible. Yunche levels up, now reaching level 6. He notices that many monsters have died from their own infighting and realizes these monsters give a decent amount of experience upon death. Just then, one monster tries a surprise attack, but Yunche reacts in time and blocks it. Yunche's attention is drawn to his own HP bar, which shows 480 HP and 120 mana points. He realizes that leveling up fully restored his mana points. While the monsters remain chaotic, he decides to test Trick Blade. Yunche activates Chaotic Thorns, consuming mana points. This triggers the effect of Trick Blade, causing a rapid decrease in his mana points while his attack repeatedly increases by a 10% boost with each consumption. He now has 12 mana points left, but his Trick Blade has resulted in a 120% attack increase with 44 seconds remaining on its duration. His eyes begin to gleam as he fixes his attention on one of the monsters charging towards him. He realizes this skill breaks all conventions by allowing him to reach 2.2 times his attack power so easily. When the monster attacks, Yunche deflects the blow, moves behind it, and deals a deep gash on its back and then its stomach. Chao Ji, the one with glasses, is in shock. He cannot believe this is Yun Che he is observing. He wonders how a level 5 chanter could have such capability, and since when chanters possess such skills. Yun Che continues to fight the monster. With his level 6 stats, 120 mana points, and 1 mana point regeneration per second, he realizes he could theoretically reach 2.3 times his attack power. In an instant, he defeats that monster and cannot help but smile. He realizes that with his current strength he can barely handle level 11 elites. At that moment, a hand emerges from the ground. Yun Che's attention fixes on it as a level 21 monster called a battlefield chimera emerges from the ground and begins to roar. It turns and massacres the smaller monsters in a single move. Chaoji's eyes fill with fear. On the other hand, Yun Che feels somewhat surprised to see a hidden level 21 boss in this dungeon. The boss begins to charge toward Yun Che when he tries to use Chaotic Thorns. The skill fails as the monster is immune to chaos. Just before the monster can attack, Qiao Ji steps in front and summons his shield. Yun Che feels somewhat surprised, and this reminds him of someone, a blonde-haired boy from his past life, who in a similar situation had called him an idiot, telling him not to charge forward, and wondered why he never listens. And when he is lost in thought, the boss attacks with force, shattering the shield Qiao Ji had summoned and sending him crashing hard against the ground. Yun Che rushes towards him. He extends his hand and begins to use his skills. He activates Basic Heal on Qiao Ji, which restores 1 HP. This consumes mana points, leaving him with 54 points. He activates Trick Blade that grants him a 10% damage boost. Immediately after, he activates Basic Heal again on Qiao Ji, this time with a critical hit that restores 5 HP. Yun Che's mana points reach 1, and he realizes that his Chanter class healing skills are truly pathetic and asks Qiao Ji if he has any health potions. Qiao Ji says he has an emergency one and Yun Che tells him to drink it. Meanwhile, his Trick Blade now has 8 seconds of duration left and the boss seems busy killing the other monsters. Yun Che knows he is not yet a match for this boss, but the mobs are almost all dead. He has a plan in mind. Showing his blade, he asks Qiao Ji to hold on for a minute as he is going to finish off the monsters, leaving Qiao Ji somewhat surprised. Yun Che moves like a thunderclap, slicing the monsters to pieces. The duration of his Trick Blade reaches 0. Yun Che levels up, restoring his HP and mana points to full. He activates Trick Blade again and keeps using Chaotic Thorns repeatedly. Each consumption of mana points triggers the effect of Trick Blade, increasing his attack by 10% with each activation. He knows he needs at least a 400% attack boost to defeat the boss. He begins to slaughter more monsters, leveling up again. He realizes he has to cast Chaotic Thorns 40 times in 50 seconds to reach level 10. On the sideline, Qiao Ji is in shock, unable to believe what his eyes are seeing. Yun Che keeps leveling up. The boss prepares to attack, but Yun Che begins to glow. He is now level 12 and his Trick Blade has a 510% boost and a duration of 9 seconds, which is more than enough to face this boss. Yun Che moves like lightning, cutting off its arm, then appears behind it and launches a chain of slashes, causing the monster terrible pain. Just before it has time to react, Yun Che slices its body to pieces. In the blink of an eye, he has defeated a level 21 boss that had over 10,000 HP. After killing this boss, Yun Che gains 3 levels, now being level 15. Qiao Ji is in shock and does not know if he is dreaming, wondering if a level 5 chanter has just solo cleared an entirely new dungeon. Now that the Dungeon Lord has been defeated, the dungeon is cleared. He approaches and asks Yun Che if it is really him. The monsters drop items, and the system prompts Yun Che to collect them. Qiao Ji wants to know how Yun Che has suddenly become so strong. Instead of answering, Yun Che looks closely at Qiao Ji and then asks what his relationship is with Qiao Benben. Qiao Ji stammers in shock because he does not know how Yun Che knows his great-grandfather's nickname. Yun Che feels somewhat surprised to learn that Qiao Ji is actually the great-grandson of Qiao Benben. He begins to remember Qiao Benben from his past, and his eyes fill with sadness because all the people he knew had been killed by Luo Wei. Just before Yun Che can ask more about Qiao Benben, Qiao Ji averts his gaze and mentions that it is not necessary to talk about him at that moment. Qiao Ji adds that if Yun Che does not want to answer his question about his sudden strength, he does not have to say anything, and there is no need to humiliate him like that. Yun Che feels a bit confused because he does not understand what is happening. Qiao Ji states that although he does not know why, Yun Che has been hiding his true strength all this time. He advises that they should return to school since the next day the school will organize a visit to the Modern History Memorial Hall, and skipping classes would get them noticed. Yun Che cannot help but clench his fist tightly and feel anxious. He thinks that if he investigates too much, he could become suspicious. Yunche considers the modern history memorial hall and believes it should have records of what happened after his death. The next day, they board the subway on their way to school. The students are very excited. Yunche observes that times have changed a lot. After being dead for so many years, the world has mutated enormously. He cannot believe they now use products from the dungeons to power carriages. Many things have appeared that he has never seen before, though he remembers seeing some of them in dungeons in the past. He opens his system inventory and wonders if not only items dropped by monsters can be taken out of a dungeon. He equips the Chimera Bone Ring, a level 14 ring formed from the rib of the dungeon lord, the battlefield chimera. It allows the wearer to attach a chimera limb to their body. He also takes the robust physique skill book from his inventory. It is of excellent quality, a passive skill type, and its learnable class is universal. He recalls that before, only equipment like this and skill books can be taken out through inventory and can be bought and sold outside of dungeons. He then activates the resilient physique skill, a passive, permanent skill that reduces incoming physical damage, while thinking that things which could not be stored in the inventory after defeating the Lord should have disappeared along with the dungeon. But now this is not the case, and he does not know what happened after his death. Not long after, they arrive at the Modern History Memorial Hall. The first thing Yunche sees is the statue of Luo Wei, the supreme ruler of the kingdom, the emperor who ended the dungeon disasters. The teacher begins to guide the students through the hall. He explains that many students know that this very place more than 50 years ago had been the battlefield of that famous rebellion. The teacher states that back then, they were deeply afflicted by the dungeons, especially after the most terrifying SSS rank dungeon appeared, causing everyone to live in fear. He adds that King Luo Wei personally led the professional army on an expedition, and despite suffering heavy casualties, he finally conquered this terrifying dungeon. But just at that moment, he encountered a long-planned rebellion. Its mastermind, as everyone knows, was Yunche, the same man deeply trusted by the king, but who ultimately became an ungrateful traitor. Yunche cannot help but feel furious seeing that this is what history has become, as they were the ones who cleared the SSS rank dungeon and were the ones ambushed. The teacher clenches his fist and mentions that they cannot imagine the pain of being betrayed under such circumstances, but their king overcame this sorrow and fought with blood and courage. Finally, with the help of the hero Ding Kun, he successfully suppressed the rebellion. Yunche's eyes fill with curiosity upon hearing the name Ding Kun, and he wonders if such a person existed. Once inside, the bullies who had been torturing Yunche at the lake appear. They feel somewhat confused to notice that Yunche and Chaoji are still alive. They wonder how this is possible since they had been dragged into the newly formed dungeon. Their leader, Ding Shu, mentions that the dungeon must have been cleared, and he thinks that for a new dungeon to be cleared so quickly, a master must have been nearby. According to him, Yunche and Chaoji were incredibly lucky to have found that master. Yunche's attention fixes on them, realizing they are the ones who tortured the owner of his body. Everyone begins to approach Ding Shu to find out what he is talking about. They react with total disbelief, wondering if he really encountered a new dungeon and, more shockingly, survived a disaster within it. Ding Shu approaches Chaoji and puts his arm around his shoulder and mentions that Chaoji is quite lucky to have made it out alive. He begins to whisper, revealing that they almost dragged them into that dungeon that day, and he demands to know how they plan to settle this debt. Chaoji panics and makes it clear that it is Ding Shu's fault. He threatens to report him, accusing him of almost causing his and Yunche's deaths. Ding Shu grabs Chaoji by the head and questions what is going through his mind, realizing that Chaoji does not seem to have any idea of the situation at all. Ding Shu forces Chaoji to look at the statue in front of them and observe his ancestor being trampled upon by the hero. He reveals that Chaoji is the descendant of the traitor Chao Ben, and he asks if Chaoji really thinks anyone would take his side. Ding Shu begins to shout, saying that Chaoji can insult him but cannot insult his ancestor, leaving poor Chaoji in shock. Everyone starts to gather around, knowing that Ding Shu's grandfather is the hero Ding Kun. Upon hearing this, Yunche's eyes begin to gleam with rage. For other students, it is the first time they get to know that Chaoji is the descendant of Chao Ben. To them, the descendant of a traitor insulting a hero is a sign of a world turned upside down. They recall that his ancestor Chao Ben slaughtered many people, and if the hero had not intervened, who knows how many more would have died. Ding Shu begins to feign anger, making it clear that he does not care what Chaoji says about him behind his back, but he cannot allow him to insult his ancestor to his face. The teacher approaches Chaoji, places a hand on his shoulder, and asks him to apologize. The teacher tells him that as his teacher, he has always been fair, and reminds him that the hero forgave his family in the past. He concludes that even if Chaoji does not feel gratitude for this, he has no right to defame him. After saying this, the teacher steps away. Ding Shu places a hand on Chao Ji's head and reveals that if he gives him a beating in public, people will only cheer him on. No one is going to help a vicious dog that is being beaten, and besides, Chao Ji is a particularly despised dog. He grabs Chao Ji with the hair and asks if he really believes that he, the descendant of a hero, could be wrong. He prepares to hit Chao Ji, but at that moment, someone kicks Ding Shu in the face, sending him to the ground. Chao Ji's eyes widen in surprise. It is Yun Che, and his eyes are glowing with rage. Looking at that pathetic Ding Shu, Yun Che then questions aloud if the hero's family does not have time to discipline their brats. The students start recording the event on their devices, wondering if it is really Yun Che. They comment that he seems like a completely different person and cannot believe he has dared to strike Ding Shu. According to them, he is crazy. Some remember he was only level 5, the weakest in his class, so they wonder what has happened to make him dare to hit Ding Shu. They note he has no parents and has always been too gloomy to have friends, so they think he has lost his mind. Ding Shu wipes his cheek and makes it clear that Yun Che is just a punching bag who should be grateful that they are not coming after him. He cannot believe Yun Che has still dared to attack him while he was not paying attention. The next moment, he and his friends start charging towards Yun Che, but Yun Che moves like thunder, dodging their attacks and striking them before they can react. Ding Shu falls to his knees on the ground and starts spitting blood. The students begin to murmur among themselves. Ding Shu is in shock because he cannot believe how fast Yun Che is. The students feel somewhat confused because they do not know what has happened. They question how Ding Shu has been taken down again so easily, and if he is in fact a weakling. Ding Shu explodes with rage, unable to believe how a trash tier level 5 support can suddenly be stronger than him. Immediately, he uses the skill Hell, which increases his attack power by 25%. He also equips the Fire-Forged Hammer, which grants him 314 points of attack power. He thinks Yun Che has just gotten lucky, and without wasting another second, he lunges at him. Yun Che moves quickly and, taking advantage of the opening, punches him in the jaw. He is using the skill Trick Blade, which has increased his attack power by 80%. Spitting blood, Ding Shu tries to understand how that is possible. Yun Che then kicks him, sending him crashing hard to the ground. The guard arrives and, seeing Yun Che stepping on Ding Shu, asks if there is a healer. The students are in shock seeing how fast Yun Che is. They remember he is only level 5. The guard makes it clear that fighting is forbidden inside the hall due to the risk of damaging something, and then asks the teacher why he cannot control his students. The teacher starts walking towards Yun Che. He states that Yun Che has not only insulted a hero, but has now also dared to assault his descendant. According to him, Yun Che is shameless. The teacher unsheathes his sword, and Yun Che's attention fixes on him. Yun Che uses the Chimera Bone Ring, and when the teacher tries to attack, his sword shatters into pieces, leaving everyone in shock. Yun Che mentions that they should set aside the discussion of who is shameless for a moment. He points out to the teacher that although he claims to be fair, he seems to have only listened to Ding Shu's side of the story. He directly asks the teacher if he is trying to curry favor with Ding Shu's family. The teacher tells him to stop talking nonsense, and then his gaze fixes on Yun Che's ring. He wonders what kind of equipment it is since, although he has not used his full strength, it has managed to block his attack. While a powerful aura emanates from his body, Yun Che clarifies that it is just a casual comment and adds that he does not believe the teacher is that type of person. The students are in shock because they cannot believe Yun Che has even been able to block the teacher's attack. The teacher promises that he will thoroughly investigate the cause of this conflict. Internally, he wonders where Yun Che has obtained that kind of equipment and if he too has some kind of backing. Yun Che notices that his Chimera Bone Ring is already damaged by 37%. He reflects that despite being of epic quality, it is still just equipment obtained from a level 21 lord, so using it against the level 35 teacher is pushing it too far. Deciding not to escalate things, Yun Che asks the teacher to be expelled from the hall as punishment, along with Chao Ji. Chao Ji stands up and begins to follow Yun Che with a confused gaze. The students cannot believe that Yun Che has been able to block the teacher's attack and wonder if this is something a student can do. The teacher turns his attention to Ding Shu and asks his students if someone can use a healing spell on him. In the meantime, Yun Che and Chao Ji leave the hall. Yun Che feels sad because he cannot believe that in the end no one has survived, and Chao Benben was killed long ago by that so-called hero. He looks at Chao Ji and he thinks that if he asks him anything now, he will answer without thinking. He coughs and mentions that his knowledge of history is not very good. So, he asks Chao Ji to recount the specific deeds of the hero Ding Kun. Chao Ji becomes nervous, mentioning that although he is not sure if he remembers correctly, it seems the hero Ding Kun discovered the great villain Yun Che's conspiracy beforehand. He recounts that Ding Kun prepared an ambush near the triple S rank dungeon to provide support. And that is how the entire rebellion crisis was resolved. Yunche feels somewhat surprised. He begins to remember his past life and how they were ambushed. Chaoji explains that the hero Ding Kun aspired to solve the dungeon crisis since he was young and always trained hard for it. After being promoted by the king, he fought across the country for years, saving various places from crises, like the very famous Great Cataclysm of Winterfell City. Yunche begins to gaze at the ground and ponder. The image of his past self standing on a mountain of corpses comes to his mind. With a sad expression, Yunche asks about the sword held by the hero's statue. Chaoji explains that it is the Flowing Cloud sword and adds that, as the story goes, it is the sword the hero used to execute the traitor Yunche. It is a top-tier piece of equipment. Yunche's eyes begin to glow with rage because they have not only stolen his glory and achievements, but have even taken his sword. Standing there, he immediately decides that he will kill Ding Kun first. Outside the Ding family compound, several high-level warriors patrol the area. Suddenly, the eyes of one guard begin to glow as his attention draws to something in the distance. Not far away, he sees Yunche and Chaoji slip into an alley. He decides not to pay much attention, thinking they are just passing through. Yunche notices how alert the man is and wonders if he has a scout skill. Chaoji suggests to Yunche that they should just leave. He argues there are too many guards and that even if they sneak in, the moment Dingshu returns, they will be caught. Although Yunche wants to go and directly kill the hero Ding Kun, he knows it is not possible. Chaoji explains that Ding Kun spends all his time in a high-level dungeon. Unlike in Yunche's past life, one cannot freely enter and exit dungeons now. The high-level ones are all guarded by the military, and a special pass is needed to enter. However, he is sure that Ding Kun's family must have such a pass in their home. Yunche asks if it is necessary for their family to keep so many guards, considering they are just one of dozens of branches descended from Ding Kun. Chaoji reveals that after all, they are descendants of a hero, and that they also have a dungeon within their property. Yunche's eyes widen in surprise to learn they have a dungeon at home. Chaoji mentions that low-level dungeons have long been bought and sold privately, but this is not something people without power and influence can even dream of. Dingshu has guards with him all the time, so he can farm monsters and level up whenever he wants. In contrast, ordinary students like them can only do so during the school's dungeon practicals, where they even have to fight over the monsters. Yunche realizes this era has changed a lot and wonders if this means the richer and more powerful one is, the higher their level will be. Chaoji nods, revealing that an ordinary person usually graduates from school between level 15 and 20. Since many have no access to dungeons after that, they remain stuck at that level. If one gets a job related to dungeons, like a miner or a ranger in a national dungeon, they might reach a level close to 30 by middle age. In contrast, guards like those at the Ding family house can use their family's dungeon, allowing them to be around level 30. To reach a higher level, one generally must be recruited by the army or enter an official organization like a guild or a military academy through school assessments. Only then can one access higher-level dungeons. Yunche knows that if he wants to become stronger, that pass is essential. Chaozi suggests they just leave, arguing the level gap is too large, and no matter how skilled Yunche is, he would be no match for those guards. Yunche is aware his current strength is far from enough to kill that hero, let alone the Supreme King Luo Wei, who is under layers of protection. However, he knows the scouting skills one can learn around level 30 are generally small area skills like Eagle Eye, Enhanced Hearing, or Spirit Summoning. These are not enough to cover the entire mansion compound 24 hours a day. Besides, this is not a life-or-death dungeon, and most guards are very complacent. He concludes it is more than enough for him to get in. Chaoji panics. Yunche takes a leap and gets onto the wall, thinking that compared to the flawless scouting in high-level dungeons of his past life, this is much more relaxed. Chaoji makes it clear that even if they get inside a private dungeon like this, they could be killed without any consequences. Yunche grabs Chaoji with the shirt and asks if he does not want to change his life. Chaoji admits that he does, but he had planned to do it after joining a guild. Yunche then asks if he really believes a guild can change things for him. Chaoji's eyes fill with sadness. Yunche pulls him up onto the wall and makes it clear that a person's destiny can only be changed in the present, not by betting on a what-if he is not sure of. Yunche is not going to pass up the dungeon right in front of him. He decides to let Chaoji decide for himself if he wants to follow. Chaoji begins to sweat, and Yunche ponders, wondering if the descendant will make the same choice as his ancestor. After a moment of internal struggle, Chaoji stands up, deciding he simply cannot let Yunche go to his death alone. Yunche tells him not to make a sound, explaining there are no traces of a summoning-type scouting skill in this area. Therefore, as long as they keep their voices down, avoid the guard's line of sight, and seize the right moment, they can easily get in. Yunche grabs Chaoji and, following his plan, they manage to enter the Ding family compound. Once inside, Chaoji notices a dungeon that unfolds underground. They enter the dungeon and see two monsters, one level 6 and the other level 8. Yunche notes that the level is slightly higher than in the previous dungeon, but the number of monsters is not as high, probably because Dingshu's family kills them regularly. Yunche tells Chaoji to go and give it a try. Chaoji cannot help but feel scared and refuses, stating there is no way he can beat them. Yunche forces him to fight. The monsters attack and Chaoji summons his shield to defend himself. Still unable to believe Yunche trusts him to win, Chaoji grows nervous and thinks he should not have come. Now he wants to go home. Yunche suggests he try fighting back, but Chaoji asks how he is supposed to find an opportunity. Yunche assures him that he is watching and nothing bad will happen. Chaoji decides to trust him and, using his shield, he attacks. Then the other monster tries to attack from behind, but he reacts in time and dodges. It is just as Yunche thought. Chaoji's talent is actually quite good. The problem is that he is always timid and panics easily, so he only dares to defend. However, his subconscious judgment of spatial positioning is extremely accurate. Because of this, it always seems like he is in a dangerous situation, but he does not lose much health. Chaoji attacks the monster, but his shield shatters into pieces. Yunche moves like thunder, killing the monsters. Chaoji is somewhat surprised to find he has leveled up. He is now level 7. Yunche explains that experience is distributed according to contribution, and that if he did not unbalance the monsters, he would not get much experience, since Yunche was the one who killed them. Yunche then draws the Crescent Bone Blade, a weapon formed from the condensed resentment in a leg bone, from the Dungeon Lord, Battlefield Chimera, which increases his attack power by 62 and his spiritual attack by 11. Yunche notices that Chaoji's movements are very agile and asks him how he distributes his attribute points. Chaoji reveals that except for spirit, he generally adds them evenly. Yunche recalls that shield bearers do not usually add points to agility. Chaoji explains that if he does not, he finds it difficult to find a party at school. He clarifies that no one wants to wait for a slow shield bearer, as by the time he arrives, the others would have already taken all the monsters. Yunche lets out a sigh and explains that Chaoji needs to have a long-term perspective. He clarifies that advanced class promotions after level 60 have attribute requirements. He gives the example of the Bastion Fortress class, which requires 60 stamina and 90 defense points, concluding that he cannot just add points randomly. Chaoji mentions that the highest an ordinary person would ever reach in their life is level 40-something, and wonders how he can even think about level 60, as that is S rank. Yunche places a hand on his shoulder and with a smile tells him that from that moment on, he can start thinking about S rank, or things far beyond S rank. That said, he also needs to start planning his own class advancement. He reflects that his support class has only been viable thanks to the hidden skill Mirror World, and that if nothing unexpected happens, he will probably change to another class. He keeps checking his skills and gets shocked to realize something stunning, that his Mirror World skill can be leveled up. They keep exploring the Ding family's private dungeon. Yunche spots monsters and attacks them with surprising speed using his Trick Blade skill to boost his attacks. The skill ends just as he strikes a level 17 zombie greed demon, leaving the monster alive but showing both the power and limits of Trick Blade in long battles. Yunche's mana and stamina run low, and after the monster dies, he realizes his body cannot handle extended fights. The battle yields huge rewards, with Yunche gaining 2 levels to reach level 17, along with increases in health, mana, and attribute points. He also obtains 2 shadow creature souls from elite zombies, which give his SSS rank Mirror World skill 2,000 experience points, confirming the skill can be leveled up. After collecting items and feeling pleased with his progress, Yunche suddenly senses danger and moves to higher ground. There, he notices Ding family guards patrolling more frequently. Below, Chaoji, now level 8 with new gear, nervously suggests they stop because there are fewer monsters and higher guard alertness, making it too risky. Yunche agrees. He knows fighting now would be difficult, requiring constant watch on the guards and careful use of Trick Blade. With his current power level and increased security, the risk feels too high. He then looks at a new skill book he has just obtained, Brick Spell, which creates mana bricks. He immediately reverses it with Mirror World, and it becomes Phasing Void Technique, making brick-size objects intangible. He realizes not all reversed skills are for combat, as some have subtle non-fighting uses. Checking his Mirror World skill, he sees it needs 30% more experience to level up. Standing on the cliff, he thinks about the amazing power reversal gives him and feels more determined, imagining how much stronger he will become when it levels up. With glowing eyes, Yunche makes a new plan. This dungeon offers unique mirror world experience from its monsters, and he figures killing the boss could level the skill to level 2, a reward too good to miss despite the guard risk. They move quietly through the cave, hiding behind rocks. Because here, guards are using detection skills more often, making their position dangerous. Yunche cautiously peers ahead and sees their target, a massive shadowed figure on a throne bound by thick glowing purple chains at the top of stairs, with many guards protecting it. This is the dungeon boss. From their hiding spot, Qiaoji is shocked to see a dungeon boss controlled like this. Yunche is less surprised, noting that their school's boss is also guarded, suggesting it is common for strong groups. Yunche scans the scene, seeing relaxed guards on the stairs, and focuses on the glowing purple chains binding the boss. Realizing they are powerful restraints, he quietly analyzes the situation. With so many guards, a direct attack on the boss would be suicidal and unwinnable, drawing everyone's attention. Yunche knows he cannot kill the boss with all the guards present, but he sees an opportunity when a guard wanders off alone. He decides to take them out one by one. Covering his face, he uses Trick Blade for a 150% attack boost and ambushes the guard. The ambush works perfectly, instantly crippling the guard, who falls as Qiaoji watches. Yunche stands over him with a dark presence and tells him to talk for information. The terrified guard begs for his life, offering any information and admitting the Ding family does not pay him enough to die for them. Yunche listens, seeing this as his chance to ask about his main goal of infiltrating the compound. When Yunche asks about the hero dungeon pass, the guard is shocked and quickly says the old master has many passes in his study, and they are not rare. The guard misunderstands, thinking Yunche is a hero grandpa fanatic. Frightened by Yunche's silence, the guard swears he is truthful, saying he has seen the old master take passes often. He warns that the passes are temporary samples, and without an insider, they would be caught. Yunche is not bothered. He grabs the guard's collar and tells him not to worry. With a cold look, he orders the guard to empty his inventory, showing his plan to steal from him and likely take his identity. He drags the guard back to Ding family compound, holding him by his shirt. He is disappointed by a single mediocre skill book he got from the guard. The terrified guard swears it is all he has, explaining the Ding family keeps all valuable dungeon drops in their inner residence, leaving outer guards with scraps. Yunche uses the skill book and learns Sunlight Baptism, a passive skill giving temporary defense after healing. He uses Mirror World to reverse it into Moonlight Blessing, a strong offensive skill granting temporary attack boosts after healing. The guard points to the lavish Ding inner residence, explaining outer guards like him cannot enter without direct summons. He says security is extreme, and except for Ding Shu, everyone inside is over level 50 with top gear, making outer guards unneeded. Yunche holds the guard closer and asks if the pass is in the residence. The terrified guard confirms it, adding that the powerful family head, level 42, is also there, a foe Yunche cannot beat. He details the family's strength. The current and second family heads are level 42. The third family head is level 52, and the old master is level 57. He warns that if the two strongest members return, it would be impossible for them to enter. After getting all the information, Yunche knocks the guard out. He has Qiaoji wear the guard's armor as a disguise and wait for his signal. Since the powerful family head is safe inside, Yunche plans to lure him out instead of confronting him directly. He goes back in the dungeon and observes the boss. He understands the Ding family uses high-level chains to keep the boss alive, creating a permanent private farming spot. He realizes this system's security, relying on easily guarded chains, can be exploited because the guards think their method is safe since no one would unlock the chains. But they do not know Yunche, who from his past life knows how to unlock them. He quietly approaches a guard and easily undoes the lock. The chains fall, and the enraged boss breaks free, going wild. Guards panic while the huge monster rampages. This chaos is exactly what Yunche needs to lure the family head out of the inner residence, using the perfect method. The plan works as alarms blare, and the level 42 family head rushes from the now unguarded inner residence, ordering immediate dungeon reinforcement. And while he and his guards charge to handle the crisis, Yunche uses the distraction to grab the powerful level 60 combat chains that bound the boss. Holding the pulsing high-level gear, Yunche knows his plan has succeeded. With the family head and elite guards busy, he and Qiaoji can easily enter the inner residence. Meanwhile, a fancy car arrives at the main entrance of the Ding family home, carrying the second master, Ding Hao, who is level 42, and his son, Ding Shu. Ding Shu dismisses his recent defeat by Yun Che as a minor issue. Ding Hao makes it clear that his purpose for being there is not merely to greet him. He then opens the car door for two guests from their school, the blonde-haired Miss Yun Sha and her dark-haired friend. He welcomes them in with a smile, but then he spots a guard bowing right in their path and his smile suddenly vanishes, turning into anger. He roughly kicks that servant out of his path, shouting at the man for blocking the way. The servant lying on the ground is Chao Li, the youngest uncle of Chao Ji. From a hiding spot in the woods, Chao Ji, disguised in guard armor, watches the scene with growing anxiety. Yun Che appears silently behind him, causing Chao Ji to startle. Chao Ji expresses his worry, stating that with the Ding family members returning, it is too dangerous to proceed with sneaking into the house. Yun Che calmly asks why he is so concerned, and Chao Ji wonders how Yun Che moved so quickly. Yun Che explains his reasoning, stating that the creature he freed is a dungeon lord. He notes that even a level 31 dungeon lord is difficult to capture alive, meaning it will occupy the Ding family's main fighters for a significant amount of time. He concludes that this ongoing chaos presents the perfect opportunity for their mission. He then asks Chao Ji to report what he witnessed. Chao Ji looks back at the mansion with deep sadness, identifying the kicked servant as his youngest uncle, Chao Li, a man stuck at level 17. This sight prompts Chao Ji to share a painful part of his family's history with Yun Che. He explains that when the original Yun Che was branded a traitor, his own family had already been killed. Chao Ji reflects that this early death perhaps spared them the decades of shame and suffering that followed for families like his, who were labeled as traitors by association. Hearing about the immense pain inflicted on his old friend's descendants because of historical lies, Yun Che becomes furious, but he does not show it. They continue to observe from the trees, and Chao Ji recounts the sorrowful fate of the Chao family. After being declared traitors, the family faced systematic persecution from the empire. Their properties were confiscated, their homes destroyed, and their lives ruined. The situation worsened under secret orders from the so-called hero, Ding Kun, who ensured the surviving Chao family members were constantly harassed and abused. Broken and with no means to survive, the remaining Chao family members were forced into servitude under the very people who destroyed them, the Ding family. They now live in poverty, their existence dependent on reading their master's moods and begging for scraps. Chao Ji admits with profound shame that his family is sometimes paraded as proof of the Ding family's supposed mercy and power for forgiving the children of a traitor. He reveals that his father's generation attempted to rebel and speak out against the injustice, but their efforts ended in disaster. The immense pressure drove his father to insanity, while his uncle, Chao Li, became completely broken and obedient, behaving like a loyal dog to the Ding family. Burdened by this history of hopelessness, Chao Ji begins to doubt the wisdom of following Yun Che into such a perilous situation. Yun Che turns to him and states firmly that he must enter the inner residence. A panicked Chao Ji tries to stop him, urgently reminding him that Ding Shu's father, a fully equipped level 42 fighter, is inside. He warns Yun Che that discovery would mean certain death. Yun Che shows no fear in the face of this danger. He explains his philosophy that in an era where the powerful tightly control access to dungeons and power, one cannot change their destiny without taking great risks. He looks directly at Chao Ji, adding that some things will never be accomplished through hesitation and waiting. Finally, Yun Che presents him with a clear choice. He offers to help Chao Ji change his fate, but emphasizes that Chao Ji must first make the decision to act. Yun Che says he will fight back regardless, but he will not force Chao Ji to follow. Despite Yun Che's resolute words, Chao Ji remains terrified and doubtful. He argues that the Ding family is a colossal power that influences the entire world, and he cannot see how two people could possibly challenge such a force. Yun Che turns away from him, his gaze fixed on the distant inner residence, and as he begins to walk forward, he tells the stunned Chao Ji that his goal is far greater than overthrowing a single family. The true enemy he intends to fight, he declares, is the entire empire itself. Meanwhile, inside the quiet inner residence, Ding Hao relaxes on a couch, served by a maid. He ponders how the dungeon lord managed to break free from its powerful chains. Noticing his thoughtful expression, the blonde girl, Miss Yun Sha, politely asks her uncle if their visit is poorly timed due to the emergency, offering to return another day. Ding Hao quickly dismisses her concerns, assuring her that his older brother, the family head, is handling the situation. He insists that a simple dungeon problem is far less important than her visit. He continues with a smile, explaining that his powerful father, the old master, and his third brother are already returning to the mansion to meet her upon hearing of her arrival. He also reveals that they have contacted Hero Grandpa, Ding Kun, who is very excited to meet her, making it clear that the dungeon situation is under control. From a concealed position on a balcony, Yunche overhears the entire conversation, and his attention snaps to the mention of Hero Grandpa, knowing it refers to Ding-kun. His mind quickly connects this new information with the intelligence from the captured guard. He understands that entering the hero's dungeon requires both a pass and an escort from an insider. He observes the guests, noting the extreme respect shown to Miss Yunsha, and deduces her status must be exceptionally high. A significant detail then strikes him. Her name, Yunsha, shares the same surname as his current body. He wonders if this is merely a coincidence, but decides to table the thought for later. He refocuses on his immediate objective, securing the dungeon pass. With the Ding family's strongest combatants still distracted, Yunche seizes the moment to sneak into the inner residence. He moves with absolute silence through the opulent hallways, deftly slipping past two chatting maids and melding with the shadows. Meanwhile, outside the dungeon, the immediate crisis has been resolved. The family head, Ding-yi, level 42, and his forces stand victorious over the captured dungeon lord. Ding-yi analyzes the situation, concluding the creature was intentionally released. He is troubled by their failure to identify the perpetrator. He reasons that such a bold action would not have been taken for a single piece of equipment like the chains. Determined to secure his home, he orders his guards to immediately surround the inner residence, and his primary concern is the safety of his important guest. He cannot allow anything to frighten the young lady. Inside the study, Yunche begins his search. He goes to the desk described by the guard, but is initially frustrated to find the drawers empty. Remembering his new non-combat skill, he uses phasing, the reversed version of brick spell. This allows his hand to pass through the solid wood of the desk, revealing a hidden compartment. Inside, he finds a drawer filled with books and journals. He removes the contents and spots what appears to be a personal diary. Setting it aside, he discovers the true treasure, a collection of high-quality fancy skill books. One of them is for a powerful support skill called Slowing Aura, which can slow all enemies within a wide area. Meanwhile, the entrance to the Ding family's inner residence suddenly swarms with guards. Hiding in the nearby woods, Chaoji watches in terror, fearing their discovery, and his panic intensifies as more guards arrive, and he realizes the extreme risk of the situation. He worries that if Yunche does not escape immediately, he will be captured. The fear of capture triggers painful memories of his father's madness and his family's perpetual suffering, and his initial instinct is to flee, to save himself by sneaking away. At that moment, one of the guards approaches his hiding spot, and he is paralyzed with indecision. But at this critical moment, Yunche's words echo in his mind. He could be helped to change, but he must choose to act first. He makes up his mind and lets out a loud shout, deliberately drawing the guard's attention. He then bursts from his hiding place and starts to run, leading the guards away from the mansion. He has made his choice. He will act as a diversion to ensure Yunche remains undiscovered. From inside the mansion, Yunche witnesses Chaoji's courageous act. With the guards successfully distracted, he smashes a window and leaps out. He feels a surge of pride, realizing his friend has finally conquered his fear and chosen to fight for his own destiny. To aid Chaoji's escape, Yunche creates an even larger distraction. He lands boldly among the guards, taunting them by boasting that he has stolen the chains and skill books, daring them to try and reclaim the items. Enraged, the guards immediately abandon their posts and give chase. While running, Yunche uses the newly acquired Slowing Aura skill. However, thanks to Mirror World, the skill is reversed upon activation, becoming Accelerating Aura, which greatly increases the speed of himself and any nearby allies. The family head, Ding-yi, observes their flight and notices something strange. Instead of fleeing away from the estate, they are running directly back toward the dungeon. Recognizing the danger, he countermands his order, commanding 2 squads to break off the pursuit and return to protect the dungeon lord. Chaoji, now running beside Yunche, is completely bewildered. He asks why they are heading toward the danger instead of away from it. Yunche explains his master plan. He reasons that with so many guards having come out, the dungeon lord should be under control. Containing such a powerful boss would have been a tremendous battle, meaning the creature's health is now at its absolute lowest, leaving it critically weakened. Yunche checks the status of his ultimate skill, Mirror World, and sees it is on the verge of leveling up. With his eyes glowing with purple energy, he knows exactly what he must do. Killing this weakened dungeon lord will provide the final, massive surge of experience needed to advance his most powerful ability to the next level. Back in the Ding family's lavish sitting room, Miss Yunsha sips her tea and politely tells her host Ding Hao that he can attend to the commotion outside. Ding Hao smiles confidently and dismisses the noise as a mere thief, assuring his guest that his brother, Ding A, can handle it easily. However, the situation in the dungeon is far from easy. The first patriarch, Ding A, tries furiously to regain control. He yells at a guard for being slow and orders him to go around directly after the rampaging dungeon lord. Seeing Yunche zip past, Ding-E commands his fastest units, the rogues and archers, to follow him and pursue the intruder at all costs. Their efforts fail completely. Yunche moves with incredible speed, leaving them far behind. He knows his advantage comes from putting half his attribute points into agility. Combined with his reversed acceleration skills, he is so fast that only specialized level 30 rogues or archers can possibly keep up. He easily reaches the main chamber where the skeletal overlord is surrounded. The beast is heavily wounded and crippled, with guards struggling to cast a containment spell on it. Yunche sees his plan works perfectly. The boss is at its weakest point. With a surge of purple energy, he prepares to deliver one decisive blow to finish the weakened dungeon lord. Guards around the overlord spot Yunche and shout an alarm, scrambling to block his path. Before they can form a proper defense, Yunche unleashes chaotic thorns. Purple thorny vines erupt from the ground, lashing out at them. The guards are bewildered, having never seen this skill before. The thorns try to inflict a status ailment, and while humans usually resist such effects, Yunche's skill is unnaturally potent. Several guards fail to resist and become afflicted with confusion. One mage blasts a fellow guard with a powerful spell, throwing their ranks into complete chaos. The other guards watch in shock, stunned by the skill's impossibly high success rate. With his enemies now fighting each other, Yunche seizes his chance. He blurs easily through the disorganized guards, his path clear to his prize, the low-health overlord ripe for the taking. While he slips through, the guards panic, yelling about why their shields and crowd control fail, accidentally hitting allies in their confusion. Yunche notes their poor coordination, recognizing them as a lazy crew with no real team battle experience. He muses that long peace has made them soft, leading to their downfall. A guard captain tries to rally his men, insisting that if they can pin down the intruder, he will be dead. Just then, First Master Ding-A arrives, commanding his men to hold Yunche. He declares he will deal with the intruder personally. With his blazing weapon, he leaps, preparing for a devastating attack on Yunche. Yunche decides to face the attack head-on and pulls out the level 60 combat chains he stole. Though too low-level to fully equip them, he knows their immense durability remains. Just as Ding-A's fiery attack descends, Yunche uses the chains as a makeshift shield, successfully blocking the powerful blast's full force. Then he cleverly turns Ding-A's powerful attack to his advantage. Instead of just blocking the fiery blast, he uses its immense impact to propel himself backward like a cannonball. This move shatters the magical seal the guards try to maintain around their boss. He lands perfectly before the crippled dungeon lord. With a final taunt, he cheekily thanks the enraged master for the ride. Before the guards react, Yunche declares he will steal the overlord's experience. He unleashes a powerful finishing blow, striking the weakened beast and ending its life. The payoff is immediate and huge. Yunche gains a staggering 3 levels instantly, jumping to level 20 and receiving 9 new attribute points. Most importantly, the dungeon lord's massive experience maxes out his hidden skill, Mirror World. A system notification confirms the skill is upgraded, finally reaching the coveted level 2. Seething with rage after his kill is stolen, First Master Ding-A screams in fury and charges Yunche with his fiery axe. Following his lead, the remaining guards rush forward, determined to capture the audacious intruder who stands calmly before the massive dungeon lord's corpse. But Yunche is unafraid. He focuses on his spoils and tries the level 2 Mirror World. Just as Ding-A's powerful attack is about to connect, it passes harmlessly through a shimmering image of Yunche, who then vanishes. The guards stop, confused by his sudden disappearance. Yunche finds himself in a completely new place. The world around him has transformed into a silent crystal blue-green version of the dungeon. From this strange dimension, he can see transparent versions of Ding-A and the other guards who are unaware of his presence. A timer shows his mirror walk will last almost 30 minutes. He realizes with excitement that he can now enter the very world inside the mirror. Yunche reflects that inside this strange blue-green mirror world, everything is a perfect mirror image of the real world, but flipped left to right. At first, he thinks the ghostly shapes of the guards are just illusions as his hand passes right through one. But when he touches the crystal-like ground, he finds it is solid, realizing this place is more than just a visual trick. He picks up the solid crystal piece from the ground, and a system message informs him he has obtained a mirror shard that can be taken out of this world and into the real one. This is a significant find. He understands that with his mirror world skill now at level 2, he can bring physical objects from this other dimension into his own. Wondering about other changes from the skill's upgrade, he checks his system screen. He sees a completely different list of skills showing many powerful reversed abilities like invisibility and force field cage, but most are marked as not activated, which confuses him. A system message quickly explains that these skills are the reversed forms of base skills he has not yet learned. He then understands the full scope of his new ability. The list shows the reversed forms of all skills he could potentially learn. He now knows that to use any of these powerful abilities, he first needs to find and learn their normal versions in reality. The skill reversal he used at level 1 was just a basic part of his ability's true potential. He can now pick strong skill pairs and plan his entire class development ahead of time, knowing exactly what powerful reversed forms he will obtain. While considering his skill's full potential, Yunche suddenly senses something behind him. Turning, he sees a faint blue-green human shape floating aimlessly in the crystal air. He wonders if it is a soul, similar to how he was trapped before his rebirth. The idea interests him, and he considers if other souls are also trapped in this strange world. Without warning, the calm soul flashes with green energy, transforming into a screaming, bone-like undead creature that lunges at him. Surprised, Yunche pulls out his glowing blade and prepares to fight. He meets the creature's attack and with one swing easily destroys the undead being, noting it did not seem very strong. Just as he defeats the creature, a new system message appears. The system offers him an undead contract. It explains he can make a pact with the soul he has just defeated, allowing it to leave the mirror world and fight for him in the real world. The contract also states the soul's maximum level will always match his own level, and he can maintain 20 such contracts simultaneously. This unexpected event makes Yunche contemplate this new power's implications. The level 2 upgrade to Mirror World is a game changer, allowing him to bring not only items, but also an army of undead from the Mirror World into the real one. Looking at the vast crystal landscape full of possibilities, he finds the idea very compelling. Back in the real world, the situation is chaotic. With its lord defeated, the private dungeon has vanished, leaving a stunned and confused army of guards. They cannot comprehend where the intruder has disappeared. One captain frantically asks how he just vanished, wondering if it was a high-level rogue stealth skill. A rogue expert quickly denies this, explaining their stealth abilities have clear limits and cannot make someone disappear so completely. The lack of answers angers the first master, DONGHUA, who grabs the rogue and demands to know how the intruder escaped with so many guards present. Having lost his valuable private dungeon, he takes his frustration out on his men, grabbing the man's face and yelling that if they cannot find the responsible person, they will have to repay him for the loss. Meanwhile, Yunche's time in the mirror world is ending. Soon his mirror walk timer counts down, and he wonders where he will reappear. He gets his answer a moment later when he materializes back in the real world in the exact spot where he vanished. The angry Ding-A spots him immediately and roars for his men to capture him. Facing this renewed assault from the Ding family's fighters, Yunche remains perfectly calm. He holds up a hand, a swirling green light glowing within it, and tells them not to be so hasty. He states that after being outnumbered for so long, it is now his turn to have the numerical advantage. With that, he activates the power he just gained from the mirror world. A flood of spooky skeletal warriors bursts forth, forming a frightening undead army that rushes towards the shocked guards. The guards react with pure terror as they wonder what these ghost-like figures are and if they are actual ghosts. The first master, Ding-A, tries to quell the growing fear. He yells at his men not to panic, insisting the creatures are just common undead monsters he has encountered many times before. One guard engages a skeletal warrior, preparing for a tough fight. However, he is surprised to see a health bar appear above the creature, identifying it as an undead skeleton warrior at level 20. Despite this revelation, fear remains potent. Ding-A's face twists with rage at his men's continued hesitation. To motivate them, he promises a monetary bonus to everyone who attacks and captures the intruder. The prospect of a reward seems to restore their courage. But as the guards shift their attention from the undead army back to Yunche, they discover he is no longer there. Confused, they look around, unable to locate him. Having used his newly summoned undead as a distraction, Yunche has already escaped the central area. He judges that his current army is still too weak to be truly effective. He knows that if he could find and contract stronger souls, the disorganized guards would be no match for him. However, he is limited by what was available. He has already made contracts with the 20 strongest souls he found in the small area he explored within the mirror world. He also realizes his exploration of the mirror world is not endless. He encountered an invisible boundary that confined him within 200 meters of his entry point. This makes him understand that to find more powerful undead, he will need to enter the mirror world from different locations in the future. Just then, he spots that his friend Qiao Ji, who had been acting as a distraction, has been discovered hiding in the woods. One of the guards sneers at the disguised boy, teasing him about the reward he will get for catching him. Without hesitation, Yunche leaps from the shadows. He quickly and precisely strikes down the guard threatening his friend. With their path now clear, he grabs the stunned Qiaoji and tells him they are leaving. Looking at the chaos he has created, with his undead army keeping the rest of the guards occupied, Yunche decides their mission is accomplished. It is time to return, escape the danger, and properly examine all the new gains from his bold raid on the Ding family compound. Inside the dungeon, the Ding family guards continue fighting the undead army. They attack the skeletal warriors fiercely, breaking their bones. One of them notes that the creatures are not very strong, but the guards' relief is short-lived. To their horror, a defeated skeleton instantly reforms, completely unharmed. They keep fighting only for the skeletons to revive endlessly. And just when the guards' spirits are breaking, Ding Ge, the strong level 52 third head of the Ding family, appears calmly smoking. He realizes the skeletons are summoned creatures, and that reviving them uses their summoner's magic. With a confident smile, he concludes they just need to kill the skeletons repeatedly until their master runs out of energy. Sometime after the chaotic attack, the old master returns. This powerful head of the family with a long white beard immediately asks if their important guest, Miss Yunsha, has left. Inside, his son Ding Hao bows respectfully, apologizing for failing to keep her there. He explains the intruder was unbelievably bold, causing a commotion by shouting and breaking a window, which scared their guest away. The old master, the formidable level 57 Ding Dan, son of hero Ding Kun, becomes furious. He yells at his son for the complete security failure, enraged that an intruder got in and escaped without being identified. Ding Hao bows his head in shame, taking full blame. However, Ding Hao offers good news. Despite the chaos, Miss Yunsha agreed to go to the hero's dungeon, meaning his grandfather Ding Kun's matter was not ruined. This does not calm the angry master. Ding Dan swears they will kill the culprits without mercy. He then impatiently orders his son to quickly check what else was stolen. Safely away from the chaos, Yunche reviews his gains. He looks at the temporary dungeon access permit he stole, which has Qiaozi's name. He has the pass, his main goal, but still needs an escort for the hero's dungeon. He decides not to rush this problem. He assesses his other gains from the Ding family house raid. The raid was very profitable, raising his level to 20. His powerful Chimera Bone Ring is almost destroyed from blocking an attack, but he stole over 10 valuable skill books. He sees one book has chant skills, all support types. He learns Battle Song Chant, which boosts critical hit rate and damage but lowers defense. He immediately considers its reversed form, Shield Song Chant, which would do the opposite. He excitedly realizes that by learning and reversing these support skills, he can greatly boost his stats. With these boosts and a new passive skill that increases his strength, he knows he can crush any same-level opponent with pure stats. Besides skill books, the Dungeon Lord dropped a rare level 30 item, Corrupted Knight's Armor, which will be useful later. But most importantly, above all the levels, skills, and equipment, he has finally leveled up his hidden skill, Mirror World, to level 2. Thinking about his new abilities, Yunche admits his necroantic summons greatly increase his combat power. But he knows it is not enough. Recalling the hero Ding Kun's statue, he judges his enemy is at least an S-rank berserker. To have any chance of killing him, Yunche figures he needs to reach level 50 or higher, and more importantly, find and contract an S-rank necroantic spirit. Later, safe from the Ding compound, a still-shaken Qiaoji nervously asks Yunche if they will not be followed. Yunche calmly says they lost their pursuers and are safe since their faces were not seen. Still, Qiaoji remains uneasy, and Yunche notes how hard the experience must have been for him. Seeing his current undead army is too weak, Yunche decides his next step. He asks Qiaoji if there are any nearby dungeons where a powerful person has died. When Qiaoji looks confused, Yunche explains he needs a higher-level dungeon to level up faster, adding the powerful person is for something he will find out later. After a moment, Qiaoji confirms there is such a place. However, he hesitates, worried. He reveals it is the school's private dungeon, and they cannot sneak in. This information makes Yunche pause, thinking about a controlled, heavily guarded dungeon. But he does not waver. He simply decides if normal entry is impossible, he will use special methods to get what he wants. As part of his special methods to enter the school's private dungeon, Yunche meets his class teacher. He gives the teacher a valuable, rare purple-quality skill book for his Wanderer class, stolen from the Ding family. The bribe works. The teacher, now believing Yunche has powerful backing, becomes more helpful. He admits dungeon access is usually fixed, and he cannot easily change things. However, he explains a loophole. The dungeon is open for graduating students. While Yunche is not normally qualified, a teacher can recommend an outstanding student. Convinced of Yunche's outstanding potential, he promises to get him a spot. The plan succeeds. Yunche joins students entering the school's valiant dungeon. Other students are determined or flattering. One grimly notes it might be his last chance to level up, while another thanks the hero. As Yunche walks past the glowing portal, he feels a strange unease, sensing something is wrong with this dungeon. The teacher enthusiastically explains it is where the hero once fought, and traces of his power might remain inside. Nearby, Qiaoji listens grimly. He horrifyingly realizes the Valiant Dungeon is where, according to the Empire's fake history, hero Ding Kun valiantly killed his great-grandfather, traitor Chao Benben. Knowing the dark truth, Qiaoji hesitates. He struggles, wondering if he should tell Yunche what he knows about the dungeon's true history. The students gather at the dungeon entrance, and the teacher gives a final warning. It is a high-level dungeon, and they must be careful within their limits. He then singles out a red-haired student in armor, named Z, telling him to look after Yunche and Qiaoji. Xie is clearly annoyed, complaining he cannot focus on leveling up if he has to babysit. Another student pushes him forward, telling him to stop complaining as the dungeon is open, grumbling about why younger students are allowed. Yunche and Qiaoji enter the dungeon along with Xi and the others. Xi condescendingly orders Yunche and Qiaoji to stay back and not cause trouble, threatening to abandon them if they are a burden. The group goes into the vast, purple-lit interior. Yunche silently assesses his surroundings and notes it is supposed to be a level 20 to level 40 dungeon. However, his instincts from his past life scream that something is wrong. A deep unease washes over Yunche as he feels a profound danger that does not fit a dungeon of this supposed difficulty. As students go deeper into the glowing purple Valiant Dungeon, Yunche sees Yun Yin and her blonde friend Yun Sha inside. He wonders how they, as younger students, are allowed entry. Xie, the red-haired senior student assigned to watch Yunche, also sees the girls and points them out to another armored student. This student immediately dreams of escorting the attractive girls. His fantasy is cut short by a taller, serious student in a helmet who smacks him and tells him to stop dreaming. This student reveals that Yunyin and Yunsha are much stronger, both over level 30. He scoffs that they should be asking the girls for help, and the daydreaming student is not good enough for them. Embarrassed, the student mutters that he was just talking. As the older students talk, the daydreaming boy watches Yunsha and Yunyin. To his and his friend's surprise, the two high-level younger students ignore them and walk directly towards Yunche and Qiaoji. Yunche watches them approach, feeling confused. He recognizes Yunsha as the high-status guest from the Ding family's house. Her direct approach makes him suspicious. He wonders if she knows the original owner of his body, or if she is confronting him for Ding Shu, whom he publicly embarrassed. Yunsha's approach is direct and friendly. Smiling confidently, she tells Yunche she saw him at the memorial hall and compliments his fighting skills, adding his voice is unique. Yunche is not sure what she wants, thinking she is just making small talk. However, Yunsha's eyes glow gold as she leans closer, revealing she recognizes his voice from the shattering glass during his escape from the Ding family residence. This stuns Yunche. He realizes, alarmed, that this powerful girl has identified him as the intruder just from hearing him speak. Having made her point, Yunsha's clothes change to white mage-like combat gear. Yunyin does the same, putting on a dark green energy outfit. Yunsha then tells a still surprised Yunche they will explore the dungeon first, then walks away with her friend. As they walk off, Yunche processes the encounter carefully. He understands she recognizes him as the intruder but chooses not to expose him publicly, subtly delivering the message. This makes him wonder if it is a warning. He considers the dangerous possibility that Ding Shu also recognizes his voice from their earlier fight. However, Yunche decides not to worry for now. He is confident that as long as the Ding family does not act immediately, his fast leveling speed will soon make him strong enough for any threat they pose. Seeing her act as friendly, he decides to offer a warning back. He calls out, advising them to be careful, as his instincts tell him the dungeon feels strangely dangerous. Yunsha stops and seems to agree, telling her friend the place feels odd. She reflects that given her high level, the dungeon should not feel so unsettling. With a final knowing smile at Yunche, she thanks him for the warning before she and Yunyin continue. The brief friendly talk between Yunche and the high-level girls does not go unnoticed. The other older students watch in disbelief, gossiping about why the usually cold Yunsha is so familiar with him. Driven by jealousy, they surround Yunche, asking about his relationship with her and demanding an introduction. Not interested, Yunche cuts off their questions, announcing he and Qiaoji are leaving the group to explore alone. The older students are shocked by his overconfidence, warning him that as younger students, the level 20 monsters will surely kill them. To their surprise, their supervisor, Z, tells them to let the two go. He reasons that for Yunche to be friendly with someone as powerful as Yunyin, his own level must be high. When others protest, reminding him of their teacher's orders, Z's true motive is revealed in his thoughts. He aggressively reminds his friends of their real reason to find precious crystals. He does not want to share the loot, so letting them wander off is perfect. He finalizes his decision by callously telling the group to ignore them, reasoning they have distress signal guns if needed. As Yunche and Chaoji walk away, Z watches them with anger and jealousy. He cannot understand why a plain kid gets Yunsha's attention. His envy grows into dark malice. He concludes if Yunche is so overconfident, he deserves to die. Sometime after Yunche and others enter the dungeon, an angry Ding Shu arrives at the entrance. A male staff member and a woman ask him what he is doing. Filled with rage, Ding Shu grabs the man's shirt, asking if a team has just gone inside. The staff member demands to know what he plans to do. This fight comes after a frustrating meeting Ding Shu had with his family elders. When he tries to tell them Yunche and Qiaoji are the intruders who raided their home, his father, Ding Hao, dismisses him. He coldly tells him not to blame them for his public humiliation, as he has no time for such small matters. Ding Shu strongly insists he recognizes their voices from the raid. However, DONGHUA is doubtful, pointing out the intruders are too skilled to be mere students, easily escaping many guards. DONGHUA says unless Ding Shu can prove their strength is greater than the guards, he cannot support his claim. Irritated, the family head, Ding Dan, coldly tells him to leave them to their important matters. Dismissed by his family, Ding Shu has no choice but to act himself. Back at the dungeon entrance, he confronts the staff member, declaring with crazy determination that since Yunche and Qiaoji are inside, he has to go after them. Inside the dungeon, Yunche engages in combat with a tough level 20 greed demon crystal giant made of sharp blue crystals. The creature attacks fiercely, and as Yunche dodges its strikes, an even stronger enemy appears, a level 30 greed demon crystal eye that shoots a powerful beam of purple energy directly at him. Recognizing the new monster's immense power, Yunche prepares to withstand the hit. From a distance, a terrified Qiaoji shouts Yunche's name and uses a support skill called Surrounding Shield, which creates golden shields with angel wings around Yunche, providing 500 durability and 700 defense for 3 minutes. Qiaoji does not stop there. He also uses Motivational Shout, wrapping Yunche in an aura that grants the inspired status, boosting his attack power and speed by 5%. This demonstrates Qiaoji's rapid development as a skilled support player. Strengthened by these buffs, Yunche unleashes a series of powerful attacks on the crystal monster. With his Trick Blade skill active, granting a 70% attack boost, he shatters the level 30 crystal eye with a final decisive blow. The victory yields immediate rewards. Yunche levels up to level 21 and gains 3 attribute points, while Qiaoji levels up to level 11 and also receives 3 attribute points. Yunche explains to his friend that the Surrounding Shield and Motivational Shout skills come from the books they stole from the Ding family, noting their usefulness and Qiaoji's ability to learn them effectively. As they examine the defeated monster's remains, Yunche reflects on their improved teamwork. He acknowledges that the dungeon's monsters are somewhat high level, but Qiaoji's new support skills make the battles more manageable. Moving deeper into the crystal caves, Yunche recalls their teacher mentioning a rare monster called the Obsidian Beast, which has a chance to drop a rare support skill book for gravitational pull. This opportunity is significant for Yunche because he has already seen the skill's reversed form, Force Field Zone, on his Mirror World skill list and knows it is key for his future plans. However, hunting the beast is not his only objective. He also scans the vast, eerie landscape, believing that the souls of powerful adventurers who died here might still be present, offering a chance to contract powerful undead spirits for his army. Suddenly, he senses danger and his eyes widen in alarm. In the canyon below, a large creature made of dark, glowing purple rock appears, an elite-level obsidian beast. It is not alone. A whole group of these elite beasts moves together through the Crystal Pillar Canyon. From a high cliff, Yunche and Qiaoji observe the strange sight. Yunche notes that the elite beasts are moving in an organized group and have traveled farther than usual, leading him to conclude they are wanderer-type monsters. He explains to Qiaoji that wanderer types are rare creatures without fixed spawn locations, roaming freely across the dungeon. They are much stronger than normal monsters of the same level and can easily overpower unprepared adventurers. Historically, encountering them often meant a difficult fight for survival, and they were especially dangerous because they could leave the dungeon and threaten human towns, causing disasters. However, Yunche also knows that defeating them offers high rewards in experience and items, making them a high-risk, high-reward target. Recognizing the threat, Yunche knows they cannot attack directly and decides to test the beast's abilities to find a weakness. His initial assessment reveals their strong defense and a constant healing skill that makes them hard to wear down. Before he can devise a new plan, the beasts retaliate with coordinated mana ray attacks. Yunche uses his high speed to weave through the energy beams, aided by Qiaoji's winged shields, but the attacks are too numerous. One beam hits him, drawing blood and causing pain, and a quick check of his health bar shows significant damage. He realizes that even with his agility, he cannot dodge everything, and without Qiaoji's shield, he would have been severely injured. Acknowledging his low health and defense, Yunche tries a different approach by summoning his undead army, skeletons in green flame, to hold back the obsidian beasts. However, the power difference is too great. The elite monsters quickly tear through his summons, and he sees their health bars dropping rapidly. Frustrated, he makes a smart retreat, noting that the monsters are slow, which buys them time. He concludes that the only way to defeat them is to rely on Qiaoji's defensive skills, but for that, his friend needs to level up. Yunche turns to Qiaoji and explains the new plan. They will fight weaker monsters first to gain strength. They move to an area with lower-level enemies, where Yunche points out a group perfect for helping Qiaoji level up. In group fights, the shield-bearer's role is crucial for defense, allowing other classes to attack safely from a distance. Following Yunche's earlier advice to aim for S rank, Qiaoji has been allocating all his new stat points to defense. This specialized build, combined with armor stolen from the Ding family guards, now shows its effectiveness. Qiaoji can easily block attacks from level 20 monsters, taking minimal damage. Under Yunche's guidance, Qiaoji trains hard to master his role. Yunche shouts instructions from a distance, teaching him the basics of a defensive stance, how to shift weight, steady his body, and angle his shield to block incoming attacks. Qiaoji successfully blocks a powerful hit from a crystal monster, noting that his shield's durability decreases slower than before. However, he remains inexperienced. As Yunche warns him to watch for follow-up attacks, the monster strikes again, catching Qiaoji off guard and knocking him down. Before the creature can land a final blow, Yunche intervenes, blocking the attack and saving his friend. He uses the moment to emphasize the importance of predicting enemy moves and avoiding large, inefficient shield movements that leave openings. Instead, he advises smaller, precise blocks that allow for counterattacks. Patting Qiaoji on the shoulder, he adds that staying alert but relaxed, only tensing at the moment of impact, conserves energy and improves reaction time. The training continues relentlessly. With a final encouraging pat, Yunche tells Qiaoji to keep up the good work and reminds him to always watch his teammates' backs. A look of determination appears on Qiaoji's face as they apply their training in battles against dungeon monsters. Yunche reiterates that when stats are similar, superior skill decides the winner. Their teamwork pays off. After defeating another monster, Yunche levels up to level 22, pleased with their progress. Qiaoji's growing confidence means they can fight more efficiently, accelerating Yunche's experience gain. The most significant growth is for Qiaoji, who excitedly reaches level 15, a key milestone allowing him to learn a new powerful skill from the stolen books. He uses the rare skill book for shield armor, which adds an outer layer of armor to his shield, granting huge durability and defense that scale with his stats. The new ability manifests as glowing green armor over his summoned shield, significantly boosting his defensive capabilities. Yunche notes that this skill will be invaluable when they face the obsidian beasts again. Meanwhile, in another part of the Crystal Pillar Canyon, a group of 3 teachers from the school's team, Zhuang Zheng, level 37, Lei Li, level 33, and Lei Ben, level 34, observe the same group of elite obsidian beasts. They are confused by the large number of wanderer types gathered in one place and decide the monsters are too dangerous for students, needing elimination. However, they acknowledge the difficulty, as elite wanderer types are far more powerful and unpredictable than regular monsters. Their discussion is interrupted when they see a student's distress signal flare in the sky. Forced to change plans, they prioritize rescuing the students but express deep concern about the wanderers, knowing any unprepared student encountering them would be in grave danger. Zhuang Zheng offers to stay behind as a precaution. The team leader, Lei Li, is about to agree, but just then Yunche and Qiaoji suddenly appear from behind. Yunche shares the concern of their teacher and suggests that he and Qiaoji can watch the wanderer types instead. He reasons that if the rescue party encounters another group of powerful monsters, 2 teachers might not be enough, and he promises that they will maintain a safe distance and simply observe without engaging. After a moment's hesitation, the teachers agree but give a serious warning. The monsters are extremely dangerous, and Yunche and Qiaoji must not act on their own or attempt to fight them. Lei Li stresses that they must stay hidden, as being spotted would leave no chance for escape. While the teachers hurry away, one shouts a final desperate warning for Yunche to hide well. However, Yunche has no intention of hiding, and as soon as the teachers are gone, he confidently declares that it is the monsters who will not escape from him, and he begins his own attack on the group of obsidian beasts. Yunche puts their new plan into action by summoning his undead army to form a front line, absorbing the first wave of mana ray attacks from the powerful obsidian beasts. This time, the skeletons are not alone. Qiao Ji, now a highly effective tank, uses both his surrounding shield and new shield armor skills to create an immensely strong defensive wall that protects the undead warriors. The powerful energy beams, which previously posed a significant threat, now impact the robust shields without causing damage, barely scratching the protected skeletons. With the monster's attention fixed on this unbreakable front line, Yunche moves through the chaos and launches his own fierce assault, landing a series of powerful blows that shatter the crystal bodies of the elite-level monsters using only his fists. He focuses on one radiant crystal monster, watching its health bar diminish with each strike, and with a final sharp blow, he breaks the creature's core, defeating the level 30 beast. The defeated monster drops a beam of light, indicating valuable loot. After this success, Yunche feels increasingly accustomed to his support class, skillfully combining his attacks with Qiao Ji's defenses and his undead army. However, he recognizes that his current power level remains much weaker than in his past life, as his reversed skills greatly boost his attack power, but are still limited by the support class's naturally low base attack. He wishes for a way to increase his basic damage further, and reflects on other gains from the battle, such as titles earned for defeating powerful monsters. The victory also grants him another level up, and he appreciates the substantial experience provided by rare elite monsters. As he approaches the monster's body to collect dropped items, a system message confirms he has obtained valuable rewards. Yunche's eyes widen in surprise upon examining the loot. He acquires a powerful weapon with high attack stats, a huge glowing pink crystal longsword that gives him a massive plus 552 bonus to attack power. A slow smile spreads across his face as he realizes this weapon perfectly compensates for his class's low base attack. He equips the sword, which transforms in his hands into a larger, more menacing blade crackling with dark purple energy, confident that future fights will be much easier. However, his luck is not perfect. He checks another dropped item, a skill book, but is disappointed. It is not the gravitational pull skill he hoped for, guessing its drop rate must be low. As Yunche stands on the cliff edge, contemplating hunting more wanderer monsters for better loot, his thoughts are interrupted by a bright red firework-like explosion in the distance, a distress signal only used by the school's teacher teams, indicating they are in serious trouble. The teachers, who had responded to what they thought was a student's distress call, find themselves in a dire situation after stumbling upon a large group of elite wanderer-type monsters gathered around a single cave entrance. They cannot understand why so many powerful creatures are concentrated there. Soon, Yunche, Qiao Ji, Yunsha, and Yunyin arrive, equally confused by the monster gathering. One teacher explains they just arrived after seeing the signal and do not know the full situation, pointing out that the signal originates from inside the cave where trapped students must be. Another teacher describes their predicament. Despite organizing a rescue attempt, the monster group is too large for them to break through even with all teachers combined. Noticing the powerful Yunsha and Yunyin, one teacher appeals for their assistance, and Yunsha immediately accepts, stating that saving fellow students is their duty. She takes command of the battle, summoning a glowing star-shaped magic object and using a powerful area buffing spell called Starlight Mystic Art, which envelops teachers and students in golden light, greatly boosting their spirit and attack power. The sheer strength of this epic-level skill stuns everyone. Yunsha then targets the monster group with gravitational pressure, a powerful attack spell that crushes a large area of wanderer beasts, while Yunyin joins in with her own devastating attack, Hidden Thorn, instantly destroying a level 30 radiant crystal spike and demonstrating her incredible power. The combined assault overwhelms the once formidable monster group, leaving other students and teachers in awe. One student remarks that with such power on their side, the rescue should now succeed, praising Yunsha and Yunyin's abilities. Watching this display, Yunche is deeply impressed by their top-level equipment and skills, concluding the rescue will proceed smoothly without his involvement. He then shifts his attention to the broader mystery of what attracted so many wanderer monsters to this spot. Deciding to investigate independently, he instructs Qiao Ji to stay with the main group while he scouts ahead, using his newly upgraded mirror walk ability. Yunche phases out of reality into the parallel mirror dimension, noting the dungeon's crystal structure provides ample reflective surfaces for easy entry. However, he recalls the limitations of this power, remembering how he was forcibly ejected when the timer expired during the Ding family raid, and unable to re-enter immediately. Moving silently through the mirror version of the cave, he passes ghostly, untouchable phantoms of other adventurers, but observes that only dead monsters have physical forms in this dimension, leading him to a key understanding of his ability's rules. Besides himself, living beings lack physical presence here. Only their corpses remain. He follows the phantoms of senior students, including Z, deducing they attracted the Wanderer monsters and, overwhelmed, fired the distress signal. From his vantage point, he sees they are using the cave's narrow space to hold their ground, which should keep them safe temporarily. Yet the central mystery persists: what inside the cave could draw such powerful creatures? He continues deeper into the mirror cave, navigating the confusing crystal landscape with its endless reflections that challenge spatial judgment. Suddenly, he freezes, his eyes widening in shock and disbelief upon discovering something entirely unexpected and out of place in this environment. Yunche's eyes widen upon discovering the dungeon's true treasure, a massive vein of special glowing green crystal ore. This revelation explains why Z and his group risked so much reaching this location. Dungeons often contain unique resources not found in the real world, used for crafting powerful and exclusive equipment, and these green ores are far more valuable than gold. He examines a green crystal, and a system message identifies it as mirror image crystal ore, confirming he can loot it and transport it out of the mirror world. More importantly, the message offers him the option to return to the real world from that point. This discovery excites him, and testing his theory, he touches a normal blue crystal, receiving the same prompt. A slow, knowing smile spreads across his face as he realizes the full potential of his ability. Any mirrored surface can now serve as a personal exit to the real world whenever he desires. Walking among the luminous green crystals, Yunche collects some valuable ore. He reflects on his recently upgraded mirror world skill and realizes that much about its full capabilities remains unexplored, and he plans to study it further when the opportunity arises. For now, he focuses on investigating the extensive crystal vein before him. The sheer scale of the deposit astonishes him. It represents a fortune large enough to make anyone who mines it immensely wealthy. He realizes that the gathering of powerful wanderer-type monsters at the cave entrance was due to their attraction to and protection of this precious resource. Meanwhile, in the real world, the rescue operation progresses. Yunsha continues to employ powerful spells like gravitational pressure to crush the Wanderer monsters, while Yunyin follows with her own lethal attacks, such as Dual Blade Dance, which tears through the remaining enemies. Not content with solely supporting her allies, Yunsha demonstrates her offensive prowess with Star Rain Art, a devastating area of effect spell that leaves the observing students and teachers in awe. They speculate whether all her skills are epic level, given their superior power compared to the teacher's abilities. With a final massive cross-shaped slash, the last Wanderer beast at the cave entrance falls, clearing the path for the rescue team to retrieve the trapped senior students, who are huddled together, exhausted but alive. While the rescue party escorts them out, Z expresses profound relief, admitting he feared dying in the cave. However, the ever-vigilant Yunyin promptly cautions against complacency, pointing out that they must still fight their way out of the dungeon and that everyone is already fatigued from the previous battle. Yunsha agrees, but adds with confident assurance that their assistance should make the escape considerably easier. Suddenly, Yunsha's eyes widen with surprise and concern as she senses something amiss, and her apprehension proves justified when terrified screams erupt from the students behind her. The cause of their panic is a horrifying sight. The path ahead, recently cleared, is now densely packed with an impossibly large horde of elite Wanderer-type monsters. It seems every Wanderer in the entire dungeon has converged on that spot, completely blocking any route to safety. Meanwhile, Yunche continues his solitary exploration in the mirror dimension. He navigates the labyrinthine crystal passages, illuminated by the eerie glow of the ore veins, until he halts abruptly, his eyes widening in utter disbelief. Before him stands an astonishing sight, a gigantic tree-like crystal formation stretching to the cave ceiling, crowned by a brightly pulsating star-shaped crystal core, radiating immense energy. He instantly recognizes it as the dungeon's legendary secret treasure, the ultimate prize formed from condensed dungeon resources over an unknown, extensive period. Such treasures are exceedingly rare, often unseen in a lifetime, and each possesses a unique, powerful special effect. Approaching the core, Yunche reaches out to touch the glowing object. A system window labels it the Mirror Image Crystal Core, a unique quality secret treasure that, upon use, permanently grants plus 110 stamina plus 0.5 mana recovery speed, and a 20% reduction in damage from light and electric attacks. Yunche is thrilled. The stamina boost will significantly increase his health, and the improved mana recovery allows more frequent use of his Trick Blade skill, enhancing his damage output. He particularly values the percentage-based damage reduction, a rare and coveted effect even among top-tier equipment, especially since it does not consume an equipment slot as a consumable item. However, a troubling thought occurs to him. A secret treasure of this magnitude should logically be guarded by a monster far stronger than the wanderers he encountered. Deciding not to linger, he prepares to use the treasure immediately. The system presents two options: loot the item for later use or activate it now. And as he selects use, another message reveals a surprising rule. Consuming or taking the item will deduct 10 minutes from his remaining mirror walk time, catching him off guard. Back in the real world, a deep, powerful rumbling reverberates through the cave, shaking its very foundations. Teachers and students look up in terror, and even the formidable Yunsha and Yunyin freeze with expressions of shock and alarm. From behind the massive crystal formations, a new colossal threat emerges, a giant monster, a larger and more menacing version of the wanderer beasts, crackling with dark purple energy and dwarfing everything in the cave. The group immediately comprehends the horrifying reality. They have encountered the dungeon's powerful hidden boss, the lord of the wanderer species. The teachers and students recognize the severity of their situation, facing a wandering lord, a rare hidden boss separate from the dungeon's main boss that is far stronger than a normal boss. With its massive army of elite followers, the creature presents an insurmountable threat. Panic spreads rapidly among the group. One student cries out in fear, expressing disbelief that a wandering lord would appear in their dungeon, while others lose hope completely, convinced they will all die. Yunsha's calm, strong voice cuts through the chaos as she tells everyone to calm down and emphasizes the importance of working together to escape. She takes command, pointing to a narrow canyon as their only escape route from the basin where they are trapped. She explains that breaking through the monster line to reach the canyon would allow them to secure their escape. With a final encouraging shout, she reactivates her Starlight Mystic Art, strengthening the entire group, and orders everyone to push forward with all their power toward the canyon exit. Inspired by her leadership, Teacher Lei Lai leaps into action, declaring they must at least save the students. He activates his light refracting shield and announces the teachers will take turns leading the charge, with him going first. He rushes into the monster horde to clear a path, followed closely by other teachers and students whose combined attacks create forward momentum. Support classes cast healing and defensive spells on the frontline fighters, maintaining their advance. The group forms a tight defensive circle, slowly pushing toward the canyon exit as teachers urge them to hold on. Just as breakthrough seems possible, the Wandering Lord intervenes with a mighty roar, using its battlecry rally skill. In response, previously inactive crystal monsters throughout the dungeon begin moving toward the basin, pouring into the canyon in endless waves that completely surround the rescue party. Students and teachers watch in despair as their escape route is cut off by thousands of new monsters. The situation worsens as the Wandering Lord uses crystal aura, surrounding nearby monsters with a red aura that boosts their health, attack power, and defense by 20%. Students on the front line are immediately overwhelmed, shocked by the sudden power increase. One of the teachers is pierced by multiple energy beams. He shouts that the damage is too severe to heal before being killed. A student shouts in horror at the teacher's death and panics. Noticing the formation is about to dissolve, Yunsha again takes control, ordering shield guards to the front and priests to focus healing on them. Even with her commands, she knows their situation is dire, recognizing everyone is exhausted and barely holding on. Most terrifyingly, she realizes the Wandering Lord itself has not yet truly engaged in combat. Despite their efforts, the combined force cannot match the strengthened, endless monster horde. Panicked and frightened, Teacher Lei Ben declares their efforts useless and abandons the group, activating a stealth skill to escape alone. Teacher Lei Lai shouts after him, warning him that his stealth won't last long enough. The warning proves true as the fleeing teacher is immediately spotted. The Wandering Lord finally moves, firing a devastating energy beam that instantly annihilates Lei Ben and triggers a rock slide that seals the canyon escape route. The remaining survivors stare in horror at the sealed exit, one stammering they can no longer escape. The Wandering Lord turns its attention to the trapped group, charging another energy beam. A student screams in despair, believing they are all about to die. At the last second, Yunsha and Yunyin summon two epic quality level 70 shields, the Giant Shield and the Rock Mountain Shield that appear before them. The Lord's beam slams into the massive shields with incredible force, pushing it back. Teachers and stronger students rush to physically hold the shield in place since no one can properly equip the high-level item. Yunsha explains this is only a temporary solution that buys them little time. And as hope fades, a rescued senior questions why such a powerful monster is in their school dungeon, while another student blames the teachers for their predicament. Teacher Lei Li finds slight comfort believing Yunche and Chao Ji are safe elsewhere. This thought is immediately proven wrong when he suddenly spots Chao Ji fighting alongside others. Lei Li cannot understand how Chao Ji arrived so quickly. Just then, another monster attacks Lei Li from behind, and Qiao Ji shouts at him to watch out and then immediately uses Surround Shield to protect Lei Li, but the attack is too powerful, shattering his defenses and breaking the group's perimeter. With their formation broken and main tank injured, the group is left completely exposed. In a desperate act, Qiao Ji single-handedly charges the monsters, blocking several powerful attacks to protect the injured teacher Lei Li, who stares in amazement at the younger student's strength. However, Qiao Ji's solo effort proves insufficient as other shield guards fall and the defensive line collapses. Qiao Ji is finally defeated, his armor breaking as a powerful blow sends him bleeding to the ground. With their last defense fallen, a teacher declares their situation truly hopeless. Just as monsters prepare to overrun the group, a blur of motion cuts through the chaos. And to everyone's amazement, Yunche appears, standing on a defeated monster's body, holding his massive, glowing crystal longsword with cold, deadly calm in his eyes. He looks down at his beaten friend, Qiao Ji, and praises his bravery, then turns to the monster horde with strong confidence, declaring that he will handle the rest. A flashback shows a short time earlier, within the mirror world, Yunche standing before the crystal core. He realizes that since he found a replica, the original version must still exist in the real world. This means his mirror world ability can effectively double his harvest of any valuable resource. However, he recognizes the limitations, having gathered 75 pieces of valuable crystal ore, but calculating that removing them would require 750 minutes of mirror walk time, far more than he possesses. He understands each piece of ore, like the crystal core, costs 10 minutes of his ability's duration to extract. Faced with this constraint, he makes a decision. He will take the most valuable crystal core for now. A system notification confirms he used both the real and mirrored versions of the core, doubling the stat increases and granting him a powerful 40% damage reduction from light and electric attacks. After using the core and still standing atop the massive crystal formation, he feels a powerful vibration shaking the entire cave, and his eyes widen in alarm at the new disturbance. Wondering about the source, he leaps into action, diving from the crystal formation to investigate. During his descent, Yunche tests his new ability to exit the mirror world at will. He phases through the crystal walls, gets out, and then back into the mirror dimension, noting he still has nearly 13 minutes of mirror walk time remaining. With a confident smirk, he confirms another key aspect of his power. As long as he has time left, he can enter and exit the dimension freely, with the cooldown only activating after the time is fully consumed. He phases past through the crystal walls and then exits the mirror world. Upon returning, he witnesses a shocking sight. The number of monsters has vastly increased, far beyond what the crystal ore alone could attract. Towering above them all is the giant wandering lord. Yunche finally understands this creature is the true source of the profound danger he sensed from the beginning. Recognizing the immense threat, his first concern is for his friend Qiao Ji and the others. Knowing they are in grave danger, a new plan forms in his mind thanks to his newfound control over the mirror world. He sees an opportunity to turn the tables on the seemingly invincible boss. Yunche begins phasing in and out of the mirror world, using the other dimension to reposition himself instantly, effortlessly dodging monster attacks before reappearing in reality to strike. This hit-and-run tactic proves highly effective. During this, he defeats several more elite monsters and reaches level 24. He assesses his new power, calculating that with his increased mana and the doubled mana recovery from the crystal cores, he can now stack his Trick Blade skill to achieve a massive 330% increase in attack power. However, Yunche remains realistic. He knows his current power, while formidable, is still insufficient to face the Wandering Lord, a creature stronger than a normal dungeon boss. He determines he needs to reach at least level 30 to have a real chance of victory, acknowledging he is still far from that goal. Back to the present, just when the students and teachers face certain death and all hope seems lost, Yunche exits the mirror world and appears amidst the main battlefield. He slices one monster, then looks at his brave, beaten friend Qiao Ji and praises his courage. With strong resolve, he tells his friend to leave the rest to him, ready to confront the enormous horde alone. Landing firmly on the ground, Yunche immediately takes command, instructing those with support skills to buff him while he engages the Wanderer horde. Yunsha and Qiao Ji react instantly. The powerful high-level student uses her Starlight Mystic Art, while Qiao Ji casts his defensive Surround Shield and Shield Armor. Both skills significantly boost Yunche's spirit and attack power. Now empowered, Yunche becomes a storm of destruction and cuts through groups of elite monsters using his massive crystal longsword with ease. He knows the number of enemies is overwhelming, but he is no longer in real danger. After using the 2 crystal cores, his health is several times higher, and his 40% damage reduction against the monster's light and electric attacks makes him incredibly resilient. Now, his only frustration is the monster's immunity to the confusion effect from his chaotic thorns skill, which would have sped up the process. The other students and teachers watch in shocked silence. Teacher Lei Li and the seniors who previously looked down on him are in complete disbelief. They check his status bar, confirming he is a support class chanter, but cannot comprehend his immense attack power or the strange skill allowing him to seemingly teleport by phasing through. Lei Li, injured and bleeding, looks on with a mix of shock and awe, unable to believe the younger student he worried about possesses such strength. With his new power and toughness, Yunche becomes an unstoppable force and tears through the endless horde of elite wanderer monsters. The sheer number of high-quality enemies provides an incredible amount of experience, and he levels up at an astonishing rate. Yun Sha, who earlier identified him as the Ding family residence intruder, watches in amazement. She initially thought him a bold thief, but now must admit his strength far exceeds her imagination. Yun Yin is equally stunned, left speechless by the incredible display of power from the boy who shares her surname. Yunche continues his relentless assault, phasing in and out of the mirror world to move and strike, his movements a blur of purple energy. He gains level after level, quickly reaching level 28. The other students and teachers, who were moments from death, are completely shocked. Teacher Lei Li wonders if Yunche is a high-level outsider, then remembers seeing him as a student. Z is even more shocked, unable to believe a mere student possesses such power. However, despite Yunche's performance, the Wandering Lord remains a massive threat. The giant beast prepares to fire another devastating energy beam, and the students and teachers cry out in alarm. Yunche, his serious expression, knows that even with all his power-ups, he cannot survive a direct hit. The Wandering Lord advances, its energy beam still blazing, and the students and teachers behind their makeshift shield wall know time is running out. Once the beast gets close enough, their shields will be insufficient. Teacher Lei Li, seeing Yunche has greatly reduced the smaller monsters, shouts for everyone to break out and head for another exit. He believes no one, no matter how strong, can fight the Wandering Lord alone. However, his plan immediately faces opposition. One student points out the problem. The 2 massive shields are too difficult to move. Abandoning them would leave everyone exposed to the Lord's attacks. Another student adds that the shields are too heavy to carry and can only be moved via inventory, which none of them can manage. Just then, a calm voice cuts through the chaos. It is Yunche. He outlines a new, selfless plan. He will attack the Wandering Lord to draw its attention, giving the rest a chance to retreat. Teacher Lei Li is stunned by this sacrifice, asking what will happen to him if they all flee. Yunche reflects his reasoning. He knows from his past life that if a Wandering Lord is not dealt with, it will eventually gather all the dungeon's monsters and emerge into the outside world, causing a major disaster. So, with a look of serious determination, he declares he will stay behind to kill the beast himself. Yunche activates his Trick Blade skill, boosting his attack power by a massive 350%. He urges them to move faster, believing that no matter how strong Yunche is, he will eventually tire against such a formidable enemy. Lei Li thinks that a quicker escape might allow Yunche to withdraw safely as well. When a student expresses doubt about Yunche's bold claim of killing the Lord, Lei Li dismisses it as a brave act meant to boost their morale, knowing the true power of a Wandering Lord. Forced to flee with the group, Chaoji feels completely useless. He looks back with a sorrowful expression, hating that he can only run while his friend faces immense danger. Meanwhile, Yunche continues to fight through the smaller monsters, growing stronger with each kill. He quickly gains another level. The huge Wandering Lord fires its powerful energy beam, but Yunche uses Mirror Walk to phase out of reality, causing the beam to pass harmlessly through the space he occupied. He reappears behind the beast and delivers a powerful slash with his glowing sword. However, the attack reveals a harsh truth. The Wandering Lord, a level 42 stone golem, possesses such strong defense and a potent healing skill that the minor damage inflicted is immediately restored. As he dodges the Lord's attacks, Yunche identifies a large crystal on the creature's head as its core and weak point. The challenge lies in reaching it. Even with his numerous buffs, his attack power remains insufficient to penetrate the Lord's defense and overcome its healing. To worsen matters, his time is running out. A quick status check shows his powerful buffs from allies are fading, and his mana is critically low, threatening his ability to sustain Trick Blade. He understands that leveling up by defeating weaker monsters is his only viable option. Just as he prepares to target the smaller monsters again, a bright beam of light shoots from a nearby crack in the rock. Yunche immediately phases into the mirror world to avoid the blast. Forced to return to reality in the path of the continuous energy beam, Yunche is caught in the blast. The attack rapidly depletes his health despite his enhanced defenses. He cannot use Mirror Walk to dodge, as he has less than 4 minutes left, and the sustained attack would consume it all. His only recourse is to summon his undead army to block the damage, but this plan is costly. Reviving his summons would drain his already low mana, leaving him without resources for a counterattack. He considers retreating to regroup. Just as he is about to be overwhelmed, another powerful blast intercepts the Lord's attack. To his surprise, Yunsha, Yunyin, and Chaoji have returned to the fight. Yunsha explains with a playful smile that Chaoji, whom she refers to as Yunche's little brother, pleaded for their help. Chaoji, with his back turned, quickly denies begging, stating that with the reduction in smaller monsters, the main group now has enough people to escape on their own, freeing him to assist. Hearing his friend's brave decision, a genuine grateful smile spreads across Yunche's face as he simply thanks them. With their group reinforced, Yunsha takes command. She tells Yunche that the hidden boss is too dangerous and offers to cover his slow retreat. However, Yunche firmly refuses, stating that with their support, he no longer needs to hold back and can unleash his full power. His mirror walk time finally expires as he reaches the crucial level of 30. He immediately equips the rare level 30 Corrupted Knight's armor obtained from the Ding family's dungeon, significantly boosting his defenses. Yunsha observes him, asking if he truly intends to attack the Lord's weak point on its head. She points out the impossibility of reaching that height, but Yunche is already ahead. He reveals he has acquired the Gravitational Pull skill book from one of the Wanderer monsters. This skill allows the user to pull a target object toward them, but its reversed form, gravitational traction, pulls the user toward the target. He activates Trick Blade, rapidly building his attack power. Yunche extends a hand covered in purple energy, aiming at the Wandering Lord's head. He uses gravitational traction, and a powerful force seizes him, pulling him forward with incredible speed. In an astounding display of skill and power, he lands perfectly on the Wandering Lord's head, positioning himself beside its glowing crystal core. His powerful sword crackles with energy, ready to strike. Below, Yunsha and Yunyin, who had just declared the height unreachable, stare upward, their faces frozen in absolute shock and disbelief at his impossible feat. Having reached the weak point, Yunche channels all his power. He drives his massively buffed sword deep into the glowing crystal core, causing a spiderweb of cracks to spread across its surface. The huge beast, however, refuses to fall without a fight. In its dying moments, it releases a final massive explosion of pure energy from its core. Yunche is caught in the center of the blast, his health plummeting as system messages confirm the continuous massive damage. He grits his teeth and endures the attack, emerging beaten but alive as the Wandering Lord's crystal body shatters into countless pieces. A series of system messages confirm his incredible victory. He has defeated the Wandering Lord, earning a massive bonus of 5,000 experience points and the respected title of Wanderer Killer. More importantly, the hidden boss drops 2 legendary quality skill books. Golden Light Shield and Angel's Protection, rewards of immense power and value that signify a major step in his journey for vengeance. The giant Wandering Lord shatters into countless pieces, and the explosive release of energy and experience instantly grants Yunche 3 additional levels, elevating him to level 33. The students and teachers observing the scene remain in stunned silence. Chaoji can only express amazement at his friend's incredible strength, while Yunyin and Yunsha struggle to comprehend how he single-handedly defeated such a fearsome monster. As Yunche stands amid the falling debris, he notices 2 beams of golden light emanating from the monster's remains, indicating 2 legendary quality items. Before he can examine his new loot, he must leap to safety as the headless body of the Wandering Lord begins to collapse. Yunsha shouts a warning, and with skilled agility, Yunche navigates the crumbling remains, jumping from one piece to another until he lands safely on the ground. When the dust settles, a massive opening is revealed in the mountainside where the Lord fell. The interior of the mountain is hollow, exposing a vast, dark cave filled with the skeletal remains of both wanderer monsters and humans. Surveying the ancient battlefield, Yunche reaches a sobering realization. A much stronger, more ancient Wandering Lord must have been born there long ago. Yunche's gaze is drawn to a single figure silhouetted against the dim light at the cave's peak. A system message confirms the impossible. It is the body of Chao Ben. Yunche whispers his old friend's name in disbelief. Yunsha, her voice filled with awe, identifies the figure as the infamous traitor Chao Ben. She admits that while she heard this was where the hero Ding Kun killed him, she never expected the scene to appear this way. Qiao Ji, the great-grandson, finally speaks. He tells Yunche that he now believes his great-grandfather might not have been a villain after all. Standing before his ancestors' remains, Qiao Ji begins to explain the truth he uncovered through research. He spent his childhood poring over historical records about his great-grandfather, but descriptions of his experiences were always vague and unclear. Despite this, he managed to find key details. He discovered that Qiao Benben had a habit of entering dungeons far below his actual level. This led him to a central query. Why would an S-rank professional over level 60 come to a low-level dungeon like this one? He answers his own question with newfound certainty. This dungeon was one of the few places that could spawn a wandering lord, a creature capable of summoning all the dungeon's monsters and leading them into the outside world, causing a major disaster. He explains that in those days, the government lacked sufficient soldiers to defend against constant monster threats, relying on a few powerful and responsible professionals to regularly eliminate the most dangerous risks. His great-grandfather, he states with pride, was one of those heroes, not a traitor, but someone who came to prevent a disaster before it began. He admits that others likely think he is fabricating stories, and even his own family believes he is seeking comfort by twisting ambiguous historical texts to fit a narrative he desires. Just as he nearly loses hope, a hand gently rests on his shoulder. He looks up to see Yunche wearing a kind, understanding smile. Yunche simply tells him that he believes him. A flood of memories washes over Yunche as he recalls his fallen friend and comrade, Qiao Benben, whose heroic legacy was cruelly distorted. He remembers Qiao Benben's youthful arrogance, how he boasted that his natural talent meant he needed no master and would soon surpass Yunche himself. He also recalls the boy's terror when overwhelmed by monsters, screaming for his master to save him, only to stubbornly deny needing help afterward due to wounded pride. He remembers his friend's peculiar habit of training hard in secret only to flaunt his new strength publicly, and how he always chose the weakest shield-bearer class, the sword guard, because no other shield class was fast enough to keep up with Yunche's reckless attacks. He remembers consistently finding Qiao Benben even when he tried to sneak off alone to grind levels, and how his friend would always make excuses, claiming he could not resist a good fight, and that saving people was merely a side activity. Filled with renewed purpose and a burning desire for vengeance, Yunche looks at his friend's remains. He declares that for Qiao Benben's sake, he will settle the score with the Ding family, the ones who caused his friend's suffering after his death. Meanwhile, at the Ding family residence, Ding Shu recounts the dungeon expedition to his skeptical father and uncle. He insists that his account is true, that Yunche is genuinely that remarkable, and that they can verify it with the teacher in charge. He explains that he was initially barred from entering the dungeon due to his low level, but waited outside until the survivors emerged. The scene flashes back to students exiting the dungeon, buzzing with excitement. They all witness the fall of the giant wandering lord from a distance and are in awe of the person who killed a rare hidden boss over level 40, a feat beyond their imagination. Ding Shu, listening in, confirms that the hero's name is Yunche. Back in the present, after hearing his son's report, the third head, Ding Ge, remains silent for a moment. He then rises and issues a chilling command to gather the Ding family guards and proceed to the traitor's dungeon, where Qiao Benben died. His brother, Ding A, stops him, recalling a detail from Ding Shu's earlier report about the intruders at their home. With a sinister gleam in his eyes, Ding A tells his brother to bring the members of the Qiao family along with them. Meanwhile, back in the dungeon, Yunche examines one of the legendary skill books obtained from the Wandering Lord, Golden Light Shield. Without hesitation, he offers this powerful book to Qiao Ji, explaining that it has no level requirement and is meant for shield bearers, making it useless for himself. Qiao Ji accepts the book. Yunsha reflects thoughtfully, noting that while Qiao Ji may lack powerful skills, Yunche possesses many abilities she considers advanced. She admits feeling inferior despite her own high-level skills, mentioning his teleportation-like movements and capacity to summon numerous undead creatures. Her comment about the undead triggers a serious expression from Yunche. His eyes glow as he recalls a key aspect of his power. His undead summons originate from souls in the mirror world. This leads him to a profound realization. If other souls reside there after death, his old friend Qiao Benben's soul might be waiting there too. A look of nervous excitement crosses Yunche's face as a system message confirms his mirror walk ability is ready again, granting him 30 minutes to explore the mirror world. Determined, he activates the skill, his body enveloped in purple light, and steps into the blue-green landscape of the mirror dimension. Inside, he discovers a powerful ghostly figure in full armor with a calm yet strong presence, the soul of Qiao Benben. Back in the real world, time passes, and Yunyin approaches Yunsha. reminding her they need to leave soon for an important audience ceremony. Yuncha seems reluctant, finding the current events more intriguing. Her gaze drifts to where Yunche was, and she wonders aloud to the others about his prolonged absence, unaware of his reunion in another dimension. Inside the mirror world, Yunche speaks solemnly to the armored soul of Chao Benben, expressing disbelief at their reunion and a desire to talk. However, the moment is cut short as the calm spirit is overtaken by dark, evil energy, transforming into a roaring, monstrous, undead creature. Yunche realizes with sadness that his friend has become an instinct-driven undead spirit, leaving no choice but to fight. He launches into the air, dodging an attack and preparing for a difficult battle. As they clash, Yunche finds himself surrounded by floating crystal pieces, each displaying scenes from Chao Benben's life. One crystal captures his attention, showing a clear memory of Chao Benben's final battle against the hero Ding Kun. Yunche notices something oddly familiar about Ding Kun's posture and fighting style. Suddenly, the mirrored landscape shatters like glass and the monstrous form vanishes, leaving the calm, armored soul of Chao Benben once more, swinging a shadowy purple energy blade. Yunche blocks the fierce attack, his expression serious as he accepts that only raw fighting instincts remain. Seeing no point in fighting this shell, he decides to retreat, but finds he cannot exit the mirror world from his location, according to a system message. Meanwhile, in the real world, Chaoji stands alone. His solitude is interrupted by the arrival of a large group led by Dingge and Ding-A. Chaoji tries to act ignorant, asking Ding Shu why he came and if he is there to level up. Ding Shu scoffs at the act, directly accusing Chaoji of helping Yunche sneak into the Ding family home and steal their property. When Chaoji denies it, Ding Shu leans in threateningly, implying he recognizes Chaoji's voice from the incident. Dismissing the matter with a cruel wave, Ding-Ge announces with a sinister smile that he has brought Chaoji a little gift. Pure terror shows on Chaoji's face as Ding-Ge repeats his sinister offer. The Ding family guards bring forward a group of tired-looking people, Chaoji's own family members. His second grand-uncle explodes with rage. The elderly man screams at Chaoji to kneel and apologize to the hero's family and to Ding Shu. This becomes the final straw for Chaoji. He snaps, his voice filled with years of pent-up anger and shame as he shouts back, asking if the Chao family is meant to be the Ding family's dogs for generations. His relative Chao Li steps forward and strongly agrees with the old man, shouting that for descendants of a terrible traitor, being dogs is more than good enough. Another female relative tearfully asks if he is trying to get their whole family killed. He turns and points with passion toward the skeletal remains of his ancestor on the mountain. He declares to everyone that the truth is his great-grandfather came to this dungeon to stop a catastrophe before it could happen. With fire in his eyes, he proclaims his ancestor was no traitor, and the official history is mere propaganda. His voice rises with righteous anger as he declares the Ding family has no right to treat them this way, and their other relatives should never have died for such a lie. Dingge meets this passionate speech with condescending laughter, finding it childishly amusing. He calmly walks forward with a smug look and confirms everything Chaoji said is correct. With a manic grin, Dingge leans close to the horrified Chaoji and cruelly dismisses the truth, asking who even cares about it. Spreading his arms wide before his armored guards, he mocks Chaoji further, asking what it matters if he drove Chaoji's father mad or killed his relatives, proclaiming that as descendants of traitors, they deserve their lowly fate. He then delivers the most devastating blow, pointing at the terrified Chao family and revealing they have known the truth all along. With the mental torment complete, Ding-A adjusts his tie with a smug smile and gives a simple, chilling command for them to kneel. Immediately, and without protest, the entire Chao family, including the elderly, falls to their knees in submission. Chaozi's mother, now kneeling on the cold ground, pleads with her son, calling him by a term of endearment. She begs him to admit he is wrong and stop resisting, telling him it is useless. With tears streaming down her face, she confesses her deepest fear. After his father went mad, she cannot bear to lose her son as well. Hearing his mother's heartbreaking plea, Chaoji stands frozen, his body filled with despair and conflict. Just as his spirit is about to break, a woman with long brown hair reaches out a hand toward him, telling him not to listen to them. She looks at him with a kind smile and tells him he is the best. Ding Shu, his face covered in bandages from his last encounter with Yunche, steps forward with a sneer. Annoyed by Chaoji's hesitation, he calls him clueless and launches a vicious kick, shouting he will force him to kneel one way or another. But this time is different. To Ding Shu's shock, Chaoji's eyes glow with power as he effortlessly blocks the kick with his forearm. Before Ding Shu can react, Chaoji grabs his leg and with a powerful roar slams him into the rocky ground, shattering it on impact. Standing tall amidst the broken pieces, Chao Ji looks at his fallen tormentor with new resolve and declares firmly he will never kneel again. Breathing heavily with rage and humiliation, Ding Shu scrambles to his feet, unable to believe what happened. He furiously summons a massive glowing crystal hammer, screaming that Chao Ji has grown a backbone and dares to fight back. He charges forward, vowing to remind him of his place as a punching bag. As the powerful hammer is about to crash down, Chao Ji undergoes a stunning transformation. In a flash of light, he suddenly wears full plate armor, holding a massive shield that appears just in time to block Ding Shu's furious blow with a deafening clang. The attack is completely stopped, leaving Ding Shu gritting his teeth in disbelief. Now a formidable protector, Chao Ji stands firmly between Ding Shu and his kneeling family, shielding them from harm. He glances back at his mother, then turns his gaze back to his attacker, his voice ringing with conviction. With a powerful punch, he sends Ding Shu staggering back, shouting that they are not the descendants of a traitor, but the descendants of a true hero. Qiao Ji's sudden display of strength leaves Dingge speechless. Ding Shu stumbles back in complete disbelief, clutching his head as he cannot comprehend how the boy he always bullied has become so powerful. Blinded by anger, he charges again, screaming that Chao Ji is just a punching bag he has beaten since childhood. He swings his weapon in a wide, powerful arc, furious that his former victim dares to fight back. However, Chao Ji meets the attack head-on, his armored body easily absorbing the impact and sending Ding Shu crashing to the ground once more. Chao Ji looks down at his defeated tormentor and declares with strong confidence that he is no longer the person he used to be. Simultaneously, in the mirror world, a much more desperate battle rages. Yunche is locked in a fierce fight with the corrupted soul of Chao Benben. He recognizes he faces his friend in his prime, a warrior of incredible power. The difference in their current strength is immense. Yunche knows that if not for Chao Benben being a defensive class and currently mindless, he would be defeated instantly. However, Yunche holds one crucial advantage. He taught Chao Benben all his fighting moves and knows his weaknesses intimately, allowing him to predict and counter the spirit's attacks. Suddenly, the undead spirit unleashes a massive explosive wave of golden energy. Yunche instantly recognizes the move as the legendary skill Golden Light Shield. He braces himself, blocking the powerful attack with a look of grim determination, realizing how challenging this fight will be. Back in the real world, a humiliated Ding Shu screams in fury and attacks Chao Ji with a powerful skill called Mountain Shaking Wild Hammer. Chao Ji, now a strong tank, not only blocks the hit but sends Ding Shu flying with a powerful punch. Watching this pathetic display, Dingge sneers at his nephew, asking how he can lose to the Chao family brat. Deciding to intervene, Dingge announces he will vent Ding Shu's anger for him and lunges at Chao Ji with a powerful energy-filled strike. As his fist is about to connect, a blinding flash of golden light meets him. He looks on in disbelief as Chao Ji summons a huge crackling energy barrier, the legendary Golden Light Shield. With his new power, Chao Ji taunts his attackers, calling the so-called hero family cowards who dare not fight one-on-one. Meanwhile, in the mirror world, Yunche faces the very same legendary skill. The undead spirit of his friend is protected by the same bright golden shield, and Yunche unleashes a relentless series of purple energy slashes against it. He knows exactly how the skill works. Back in the real world, the golden light shield protecting Chao Ji finally shatters under the relentless assault from the Ding family members. With a look of pure malice, he declares it would not have mattered even if the trash Chao Benben himself had used it. Holding the beaten Ding Shu in a headlock, Chao Ji retorts with newfound courage, claiming that if his great-grandfather were truly present, Dingge would be kneeling and begging for mercy. Enraged by this defiance, Dingge releases a wave of powerful red energy that sends everyone flying. He looms over the armored Chao Ji, mocking his ancestor as a useless fool who died in a low-level dungeon. He continues his rant, stating that even if Chao Benben were present, he too would be forced to kneel. To prove his point, he stomps his foot, unleashing a powerful skill, Gravity Shockwave, that causes the ground to erupt in a violent upheaval of rock and force. The attack hits Chao Ji with brutal impact, making him cough blood, but he miraculously remains standing. Dingge looks on with a surprised smirk, commenting on the boy's toughness. He then summons a huge glowing crystal axe, his expression turning sadistic as he wonders aloud how Chao Ji will stand after having his legs chopped off. As he raises the axe to strike, Chao Ji's mother throws herself in front of her son, desperately pleading with the third master to spare him, claiming he is just young and foolish. She falls to her knees, offering herself in his place and begging Dingge to do whatever he wants to her instead. A wicked smile spreads across his face as he looks from the mother to her son. He delivers a horrific ultimatum to the bloodied and cornered Chao Ji: kneel, or he will kill his mother right before his eyes. Losing patience with the standoff, Dingge casually dismisses his own threat, claiming there are plenty of other people to kill. Panicked, Chaoji screams for him to wait, his resolve finally breaking as he prepares to surrender. But before he can utter another word, the entire area is rocked by a massive explosion of dust and debris that erupts from the ground, obscuring everyone's vision. When the dust begins to settle, the Ding family guards and the Chow family are left staring in stunned silence at what has appeared. Before them stands a towering ghostly figure in full dark armor, radiating an intimidating blue aura. Dingge, his axe still raised, can only stare in utter disbelief. Recognizing the impossible figure, he stammers out the name, Chao Benben. At that moment, another figure emerges from the dust cloud. Standing calmly beside the formidable undead warrior, it is Yunche. He looks at the stunned crowd with a cold, accusing glare, reminding them how they all looked down on Chao Benben moments before. With a smirk of grim satisfaction, he declares that it is only natural for Chao Benben to crawl back from the depths of hell to settle the score with them all. The tall, ghostly form of the undead Chao Benben stands as a silent protector before the stunned crowd. After his initial shock, Dingo scoffs at what he believes is a mere trick and angrily orders his guards to attack. A squad of armored warriors rushes forward with raised weapons, its sword and shield becoming a blur that effortlessly blocks all their simultaneous attacks. The Kiao family elders watch in awe, one whispering in disbelief that the incredible warrior is truly Kiao Benben. Kiao Ji is also amazed, observing the masterful parry that stops so many skilled guards at once. From a distance, Dingo recognizes the undead as one of Yunche's summons, similar to the weaker ones from the raid on their home. Noting the spirit is only level 33, he sneers and declares that even as Kiao Benben's spirit, it remains weak. He charges forward with his flaming axe to finish it himself. To his complete surprise, his attack is perfectly parried with enough force to send him stumbling backward. Angry and embarrassed, a red aura explodes around him as he dismisses the parry as a mere trick, shouting that skill is useless against pure power. He then unleashes a powerful charging skill, Boulder Bash, intending to crush the undead warrior completely. Just as the huge attack is about to land, the undead Chao Benben again summons the bright golden light shield. From a safe distance, Yunche smirks as he watches the standoff. A furious Dingo realizes its weakness. He orders all his men to attack at once, hoping to overwhelm the shield and drain its energy through numbers. However, their assault is halted by a new wave of summons. A group of skeletal warriors, glowing with a fearsome green aura, erupts from the ground, engaging the rest of the Ding family guards and preventing them from aiding their master. Annoyed by this delay, Dingo changes his plan. Dismissing the summons as a minor problem, he activates his own power, equipping a full set of strong glowing red armor. With his power now boosted by a skill called Blazing Fury, he declares the summons irrelevant. He realizes the real target is the summoner himself. With a roar, he unleashes a powerful skill, Accumulated Pressure Punch, directly at Yunche, knowing that killing him will make all summoned creatures disappear. With his eyes glowing with evil intent, Dingo charges forward, bragging about the high-level gear his grandfather gave him. He is certain Yunche has no chance, but just as his attack is about to land, it meets a flash of purple light. A single clean slice cuts through his attack. Dingo is shocked, unable to comprehend how Yunche remains unharmed. Before he can process this, Yunche unleashes a rush of red energy slashes, a skill called Tearing Claw that completely erases Dingji's attack. Dingo can only stare in disbelief as his powerful skill vanishes. In that moment of confusion, Yunche appears behind him in a flash and stabs him with his sword. As Dingo stumbles from the surprise attack, Yunche sees his opening and calls to his ghostly ally. The undead Chao Benben responds immediately, its sword crackling with bright blue energy. In a perfectly timed move, Yunche leaps high into the air, using the undead hero's outstretched sword as a launch pad to propel himself forward with great force. He shoots toward the wounded Dingo and delivers a powerful spinning slash that sends the third master of the Ding family flying, bleeding and cursing in pure rage. With his eyes glowing with cold focus, Yunche continues his relentless assault. He unleashes a powerful rush of purple energy slashes that completely overpower Dingo. Yunche moves with lightning speed, his blade cleanly severing Dingji's arm. Dingji screams in pain, clutching the bleeding stump and desperately calling for a priest to heal him. In his panic, Yunche appears right behind him. Dingo reacts by instinct, slamming his fist into the ground to unleash a powerful gravity impact shockwave, trying to push his attacker away. However, Yunche simply vanishes and reappears a short distance away, unharmed. With a superior smirk, he taunts the terrified third master, asking what is wrong and if he is scared. Sweat beads on Dingji's forehead as he frantically looks around, screaming again for a priest who does not come. He then sees why they are absent. His elite guards are being systematically eliminated by Yunche's army of ghostly skeletons, which now glow with a fearsome green aura of new power. Yunche stands calmly among his ghostly army, a coldly confident look on his face. He mocks DONGHUA, asking if he really believes his undead are still as weak as during the raid on his home. A system window reveals the source of their new strength, a reverse skill that grants all his summons a massive 30% boost to both attack and defense, plus a damaging aura that continuously harms nearby enemies. Yunche explains that with this legendary level skill's power, his army is now too strong for the Ding family guards to handle. Dingyi's face shows pure terror as he finally realizes the hopelessness of his situation. With his guards defeated and his own power useless, he makes a desperate choice. Cursing quietly, he turns and runs. However, his escape is immediately cut short. The ground behind him erupts as the undead Qiao Benbin plunges its huge sword into the earth, causing the ground to shake violently. From the broken earth, a prison of enormous ghostly swords rises, completely surrounding the terrified Dingo and trapping him in a cage of blue energy he cannot escape. Standing outside the barrier is Yunche, his hair now bright white and his aura glowing with immense, calm power. He names the technique for the trapped man the Sword Shield Absolute Array, a special skill of the Sword Guard class. He adds a chilling final remark, explaining that no one below S class has ever escaped it before, and taunts the trapped man to try his luck. In a final desperate act, Dingo raises his remaining gauntlet, which begins to glow with wild red energy. He screams for Yunche to stay back, revealing he holds a void bomb, a powerful S-class item from his grandfather. He threatens to detonate it, bragging that the explosion would be more than enough to kill everyone present given their current levels and health. Yunche, however, remains completely unmoved. His expression is calm, almost bored, as he looks at the desperate man. With a single chilling word, he calls Dingji's bluff, telling him to go ahead and set it off. The command catches Dingji completely by surprise. He hesitates, screaming that Yunche must want to die. He then tries to regain confidence, claiming that with his own high health, he would survive the blast even if everyone else died. But Yunche has one final powerful counter-bluff. He calmly states that it does not matter because even if the bomb kills the undead Qiao Benben, he can simply summon him back to life again. As Dingo sweats in his trap, Yunche appears behind him like a ghost, his voice cutting through the quiet. He continues, telling the trapped man that while Dingo might survive the bomb, Yunche himself would be completely unharmed by the blast. Before Dingo can even react to this unbelievable claim, Yunche moves with amazing speed, his glowing blade flashing as it cleanly severs the man's remaining arm, the one holding the powerful void bomb. The severed arm and its dangerous weapon fall uselessly to the ground with a heavy thud. With his enemy now completely unarmed and helpless, Yunche, still glowing with immense calm power, gives a single cold command for him to kneel. As if forced by an unseen power, the ground around Dingyi's legs shatters and reforms, pinning him down and forcing his broken body into a kneeling position. Watching this display of absolute power, Qiaoji, despite the blood on his face, cannot help but smile with pride and relief. Nearby, the pathetic form of Ding Shu is seen trapped in the ghostly sword cage, crying without stopping. Yunche then walks up to the defeated third master, placing his foot firmly on his back. He looks down at the man who caused so much pain, his glowing sword held ready. With a coldly calm look, he asks the broken man what worth he believes he has left. After the intense battle, Yunche examines the items obtained from Dingo. He finds a large quantity of various supplies, including hundreds of life potions. Noting that one potion restores 100 health points over 10 seconds, he realizes that even if Dingo had used them, the slow healing would not have saved him from the fatal damage inflicted during their fight. His conclusion is confirmed as he observes the new figure beside him, the undead spirit of Dingo, now enveloped in a dark blue aura. Yunche recalls that after killing Dingo, his soul appeared in the mirror world, allowing Yunche to successfully contract him as another undead servant. A serious idea forms in Yunche's mind. He can expand his army of high-level undead by defeating powerful human enemies. Nearby, Dingzhu's unconscious body lies on the ground, a silent testament to the battle's brutality. Meanwhile, the Qiao family members watch Yunche with amazement. The second granduncle expresses disbelief that someone so young possesses such immense power. He looks at Qiaoji, who is comforting his mother, and understands that Yunche helped Qiaoji find inner strength and courage. However, fear quickly grips the family. Qiaoli, with panic in his eyes, voices concern about the Ding family's inevitable revenge for Dingji's death. Another family member agrees, stating that even Yunche's strength would be insufficient against the hero Ding Kun, who killed their ancestor Qiao Benbin decades ago and has likely grown stronger since. Yunche hears their worries and internally agrees. He knows that once news of these events spreads, he will have very little time to grow stronger. With the image of Ding Kun in his mind, he recognizes the urgent need to level up rapidly to stand a chance against such a formidable opponent. Just then, a system message surprises him, indicating that his undead army has leveled up. He reflects that sending his scattered undead minions to fight monsters throughout the dungeon has proven effective. With their current level and equipment, his undead army can now fully control the dungeon. However, he realizes this dungeon is no longer sufficient for his rapid leveling goals. Yunche had deployed his undead with a more critical objective: to locate the dungeon's true final boss, the Dungeon Lord. This creature, a level 41 monster known as the Giant Eye Demon, differs from hidden bosses like the Wandering Lord he previously defeated. The Dungeon Lord serves as the heart of the entire dungeon. Defeating it will cause the dungeon to collapse and disappear. This strategy is part of a larger, urgent plan. From a distance, Yunche watches the dungeon entrance, still guarded by teachers and other students. He knows they witnessed Dingo bringing the Cow family into the dungeon. If the Cow family leaves now, it would immediately raise suspicions. Therefore, his only viable option is to create a major distraction. By defeating the Dungeon Lord and triggering the dungeon's destruction, the ensuing chaos will provide the perfect cover for the Cow family to escape undetected. This plan also offers an additional benefit. Destroying the dungeon will prevent the Ding family from easily investigating Ding Ji's death, buying Yunche valuable time. As his plan unfolds, his powerful undead servant C engages and defeats the Dungeon Lord. The system confirms success with 2 messages. Yunche gains another level, and a notification states that the Dungeon Lord has been defeated, marking the dungeon's completion. The dungeon begins to pixelate and disintegrate, causing the Kiao family to look around in shock. Kiaozi realizes with alarm that the entire environment is collapsing around them. Yunche appears before them, calmly explaining that he killed the Dungeon Lord. He outlines the rest of his plan, noting that the dungeon's destruction will cause confusion, and combined with Ding Ji's sudden disappearance, it will slow the Ding family's response. He instructs them to use this chaos to escape and assures them of temporary safety. However, he gives one final serious instruction. If they are ever intensely questioned or pressured by the Ding family, they should not hesitate to blame everything on him to protect themselves. As the world crumbles into digital fragments, Yunche begins recalling his undead servants, a golden light forming in his hand. Suddenly, another system message surprises him. It shows that his hidden skill, Mirror World, has gained 5,000 experience points. The message explains that defeating the Dungeon Lord yielded a dungeon core spirit, which was converted into elements for his skill. A crucial realization dawns on him. The only way to gain the experience needed to level up Mirror World is by killing Dungeon Lords. He reflects on the significant power boost from the previous upgrade and concludes that leveling up this ultimate skill again will allow him to quickly close the vast power gap between himself and his ultimate target, Ding Kun. The scene shifts to a private dungeon owned by a wealthy individual. A mustached guard in full armor patrols with his partner, feeling their vigilance is unnecessary. He suggests to his partner that they sneak off to play cards, reasoning that no one would be foolish enough to break into a private dungeon. Just as he speaks, a shadowy figure Yunche appears silently behind him. With a flash of light, Yunche fully enters the dungeon. The mustached guard suddenly stops, sensing a strange presence but dismissing it as his imagination. From the shadows, Yunche watches them, his plan already in motion. He knows that guards hired for these private dungeons are at most level 30, making these supposedly secure locations nearly defenseless against him. A series of clips depict his relentless campaign. He storms through different private dungeons, a blur of motion leaving terrified guards in his wake. Each victory brings him closer to his goal. He fights a huge beast-like creature, reminding himself to stay calm as the system announces his level up in the dungeon's completion. He moves on to another, facing lizard-like monsters with focused determination. He confronts a massive centaur-like demon, his resolve unwavering. Finally, now clad in powerful new armor and surrounded by a storm of purple energy, he completes yet another dungeon, his power growing with each success. Yunche's relentless attacks on private dungeons do not go unnoticed. Newspapers fill with headlines about a mysterious dungeon vandal clearing multiple dungeons, causing widespread panic. With each dungeon lord he defeats, Mirror World gains another 5,000 experience points, accumulating rapidly. The media dubs the unknown perpetrator the Dungeon Vandal, and authorities launch a high-level investigation. In a hidden safe house far from their former lives, the Cao family reads the news. Caoli looks at the paper in disbelief, wondering if Yunche is responsible. The second granduncle, his face full of worry, realizes the truth. He understands that the sudden clearing of so many dungeons will eventually be linked to their incident. He concludes that Yunche is deliberately drawing the Ding family's attention to himself to create a distraction for their escape. Overwhelmed with emotion, the second granduncle recognizes Yunche's sacrifice. He is endangering himself to ensure their safety. The family reflects on their new life. They are in a secret location several days' journey from the Ding family's influence and have managed to hide without a trace. A sense of hope begins to grow. Chowli remains amazed that Yunche would go to such lengths for them, while another relative expresses relief that they might finally live without constant fear. For a brief moment, they believe they could be free from the Ding family's control. However, their hope is shattered violently. A massive explosion rocks their safe house, and just as dust and smoke clears, a menacing silhouette appears in the rubble, his voice dripping with condescension as he asks if they truly thought they could escape. The intruder steps into the light, and it turns out to be Ding Hao, the level 42 second head of the Ding family. He sneers at the terrified family, mocking their belief that the Ding family would foolishly chase after the criminal alone. He declares that even without direct proof of their connection to the vandal, the mere act of escaping the Ding family is a crime deserving punishment. He taunts them for underestimating the hero family's power and reach. He then lands near the frightened Chao family members and calls them delusional traitors to think they could escape the Ding family's reach. Walking closer, he tells them even that criminals' whereabouts have already been tracked. At the same time, Yunche stands before the heavily guarded entrance to the hero's private dungeon. Now level 42. He has finally reached his destination after his long journey of power leveling, and surprisingly, Yunsha is accompanying him. With cold determination, Yunche announces that he has come for so-called hero Ding Kun. Before Yunche can enter the dungeon, a final system message appears. His non-stop effort has worked. His hidden skill, Mirror World, has finally reached level 3. He stands with Yunche, looking at the heavily guarded hero's dungeon from far away. He knows the private dungeons he cleared were only around level 30. Continuing to farm them is a slow way to level up now. The problem is that all other high-level dungeons are like this one. They are state-controlled and have heavy military guards with a 2-kilometer perimeter that no one can pass. This is a big problem for his Mirror World skill. He knows that when he enters the Mirror World, he can only move within a 200-meter radius of where he entered. This makes it impossible to sneak past the wide security area without being seen. He turns to the person he arranged to meet, Yunsha. He realizes he must rely on her for help. Yunsha looks at him with a playful and knowing smile. She correctly guesses what he wants. She asks if he invited her here just to get her to take him inside the dungeon. She then tells him it is impossible. She explains that even she cannot simply walk in without a proper pass. At that moment, Yunche shows her 2 temporary access permits. He stole them from the Ding family. He came prepared. Seeing the passes, Yunsha takes them, but she points out a key detail. The temporary pass needs an official escort to avoid investigation. Her expression turns serious then, her eyes glowing. She asks him for his real reason. She wants to know why he needs to get past the Ding family and enter this specific dungeon so secretly. Yunche begins to explain. He points to a distant mountain. He reminds her of what she saw in the traitor's dungeon, the heroic last stand of Qiao Benben. He argues that since Qiao Benben was clearly not an evil person, the whole story of the rebellion is probably false and worth investigating. Yunsha is not convinced by his explanation. With a flat face, she asks if he is treating her like a fool. She lists the problems with his story. She says it makes no sense for him, a total stranger, to risk upsetting a powerful hero just for Qiao Benben. More importantly, she reminds him that he broke into the Ding family's home before the events in the traitor's dungeon ever happened. She asks if he is trying to say he somehow knew the truth about Qiao Benben and stole the passes ahead of time for this. She then reveals another key piece of information. Not long ago, Ding Shu entered that same traitor's dungeon to cause trouble for both Yunche and Cao Ji. But Ding Shu went missing soon after and has not been found. Putting all the pieces together, Yunsha looks at him with sharp eyes. She concludes that his actions are not those of someone just trying to confront a hero. Instead, it seems he has a deep personal hatred towards the hero himself. As she speaks, her look hardens. A slow, dangerous realization comes to her. She notes his name, Yun. Her eyes narrow as she voices her suspicion. She asks if he is somehow related to the original traitor from the rebellion, who was also named Yun. Yunche meets her accusation with a playful, disarming smile. Instead of answering directly, he turns the question back on her. He points out that her last name is also Yun. He asks if that means she is also related to the famous traitor. This counter-question makes her nervous. She stammers, insisting that she has not done all the suspicious things he has. Then, in frustration, she reveals a secret. Her last name is not actually Yun. She confesses she only changed her name to avoid being bothered. Yun-chae immediately uses her confession. He playfully points out that if her name is not real, she cannot be so certain that his is real either. His tone then becomes more challenging. He reminds her that her attitude is not like someone asking for a favor. He questions if she is not afraid that he might reveal her own secret. Regaining her calm, Yun-sha holds up the access pass with a cool, threatening smile. She warns him that if she reports him to the guards, he will be the one who is truly finished. The two stand in a tense, silent standoff, their secrets and threats hanging in the air between them. When Yun-sha threatens to expose him, Yun-chae simply smiles and states with confidence that he believes she will not do it. This leaves her flustered and annoyed. He explains the reason for his trust. He reminds her of her actions back in the dungeon. He believes that someone who would risk her own safety to protect fellow students would never side with people like the Ding family. To prove his point, he offers her the diary he stole from their home. He reveals that it contains evidence of the many evil deeds done by the descendants of the hero Ding Kun, who used their family's reputation to bully innocent people. Yun-sha takes the diary but is unimpressed. She asks if that is his only reason. She claims that if he is counting on her sense of justice, he is wrong because she does not care about such things. With a superior smile, she mocks him for being so naive to place his life in someone else's hands so easily. She then asks him a sharp personal question. She wants to know if he has ever experienced betrayal before. A shadow crosses Yun-chae's face as painful memories from his past life return. He quietly acknowledges that he has known betrayal. Yun-chae is surprised by his reaction. He goes on to explain that whether he was betrayed or not does not matter. It would not stop him from being able to trust people. He states that his trust in her is deeper than that. He believes her basic nature is not evil. This unexpected sincerity leaves Yun-sha visibly flustered. She mutters that he does not seem like a good person himself. Having made up her mind, she challenges him. She tells him that if he truly trusts her so much, he should follow her. She dares him to see if she will change her mind and betray him along the way. As Yun-chae follows her without any hesitation, a single bead of sweat trickles down her face. She is shocked inside, finding it hard to believe that after everything she has been through, someone can still see her and trust her as a good person. Upon entering the magnificent purple halls of the hero's dungeon, Yun-sha and the cloaked Yun-chae are immediately met by a guard. The man recognizes Yun-sha instantly and gives a respectful salute. He welcomes Miss Yun-sha, informing her that the hero has been expecting her for several days and that she can go directly inside. However, the guard's friendly attitude quickly turns suspicious. He notes that old Master Ding Dan just entered moments before and questions why she did not arrive with him. His gaze then falls on the cloaked figure with her, asking if he is her guard. The guard quickly tries to explain, stating that he is not doubting her, but old Master Ding Dan gave specific instructions. He had warned them that a number of temporary passes had been stolen from the family, so they need to be extremely careful with all visitors. Yun-chae becomes annoyed, confronting the guard and asking if this is an interrogation. The flustered guard immediately denies it. He then reveals the main reason for the high security. They received an official notice from the authorities. The malicious criminal who has been rampaging through private dungeons is reportedly heading towards the hero's dungeon. Hearing this, Yun-sha shoots a knowing, amused smirk in Yun-chae's direction. Fully aware of the irony, the guard continues his frantic explanation, insisting it is all a routine procedure for her own safety. Yun-sha lets out a quiet sigh and turns to the cloaked Yun-chae, whispering that the guard seems very determined to investigate him now. Faced with the guard's insistence, Yun-sha laughs and playfully puts her arm over the cloaked Yun-chae, telling the guard to go ahead and check. She then leans toward the guard, her eyes glowing with authority, and condescendingly asks if he truly believes she would not be able to recognize her own guard. She continues to mock him, suggesting that perhaps she is a fake and inviting them to check her as well. Completely intimidated by her display of status, the guard stammers that he would not dare. He quickly agrees that if Miss Yun-sha is so certain, then there can be no mistake, and he waves them through. As they walk past the guards, Yun-sha lets out a quiet, satisfied sigh. While passing through the dungeon's portal, she thinks to herself that Yun-chae's true identity must be even more important than she first imagined. Once they are safely inside, she turns to him and states that based on the trust he placed in her, she has fulfilled her promise and brought him in. She adds that she will not interfere with whatever he plans to do next. However, she makes it clear that her help ends there. Yun-chae simply thanks her. He then summons a cloaked skeletal undead minion and tells her to take it and leave. He explains that by doing this, anything he does from that point on will not be connected to her, protecting her cover. Then Yun-chae vanishes. Yun-sha seems slightly impressed by his thinking. remarking that he has some conscience after all. After she leaves, Yun-chae immediately enters the mirror world, the familiar, blue-tinted landscape appearing around him. Now uncloaked, he looks at his system, a new reverse skill displayed before him. With a look of grim satisfaction, he states that he can finally put his new power to use. The power from his newly upgraded level 3 mirror world skill. He activates level 3 mirror world, and the system announces it is setting up a secret area. Inside the new dimension of the mirror world, Yun-chae faces ghostly copies of powerful monsters, some as high as level 45. He realizes the new function of his level 3 mirror world skill. It can copy the monsters found in the real dungeon, allowing him to fight and train against these powerful copies without any risk. Yun-chae summons his undead minions to join the battle. He understands that this ability lets him farm experience freely inside the mirror world without being discovered in reality. After some training, Yun-chae leaves the parallel dimension and returns to the real world. Many system notifications appear, showing he is still gaining experience. He comprehends another key benefit of the upgrade. His undead army can remain inside the mirror world to continuously kill monsters and gain experience for him, even while he is back in the real world. With his undead now leveling him up automatically, Yun-chae turns his attention to his surroundings. Alongside the spirit of Qiao Benben, he stands on a cliff overlooking a vast grand castle city built within the dungeon. He feels surprised to find such a city in a secret area and decides it is the perfect time to investigate. As they walk through the woods, Yun-chae remembers the information from the Ding family diary. He figures this city must be where his target, Ding Kun, lives. He reflects on how little he knows about the so-called hero. All he knows is that Ding Kun reached S-class decades ago and has not shown his true strength publicly since. Even a high-ranking family member like Dingo did not know the hero's full power. Yun-chae believes that having more detailed information would greatly increase his chances of success in his revenge quest. He finds it strange, recalling that in his past life, he knew every person who had reached S-class rank, yet Ding Kun seemed to appear from nowhere. Hoping for a clue, he turns to the undead spirit of his old friend. He calls him by his nickname, Benben, and asks if he knows who Ding Kun is. However, the spirit of Qiao Benben only tilts its head in confusion, unable to answer. Yun-chae expresses disappointment, wondering if his attempt to communicate with his undead friend is still useless. He thinks that when his SSS rank skill, Mirror World, reached level 3, the intelligence of all his undead minions improved greatly. The improvement is most obvious in Qiao Benben's spirit. But with frustration, he concludes that his friend's soul has not recovered enough to talk properly. Looking out over the huge castle city, Yun-chae holds onto a small hope. He thinks that if he continues to level up Mirror World, Qiao Benben might eventually regain more consciousness. Meanwhile, inside a grand hall in the castle, Ding Dan walks down a large staircase to report to his father. He voices worry about his favorite, Dingo, whom he calls third brother, saying he is still missing and they do not know his whereabouts. He speaks to a powerful figure sitting on a throne, a man in intimidating full-plate armor who is Ding Kun, the famous hero of the empire. Ding Dan continues his report, expressing anger that the criminal they are hunting has dared to come so close to their stronghold, the hero's dungeon. Ding Kun rises from his throne as Ding Dan pleads for action. Ding Dan reasons that for someone to have quietly captured the powerful Dingo, that person must have reached S-class level. For security, he begs his father, Ding Kun, to personally step in and handle the threat. Instead of agreeing, Ding Kun's response is quick and violently horribly. In a blur, his hand, now a shadowy claw with a glowing red eye, pierces straight through his own son's chest. As life fades from Ding Dan, the menacing shadowy form of Ding Kun holds his son's body. He scoffs at him, condescendingly, asking how a man so incompetent he cannot keep track of his own child dares to tell him what to do. Ding Dan gasps in disbelief, blood dripping from his lips. The armored figure looks down with complete disgust, remarking on how pathetic it is that Ding Dan only just met the requirements for S-class at his age, yet cannot survive a single hit. He continues his cold speech, revealing that the only reason he kept such a waste like Ding Dan around was to look after his grandson, Ding Gi. He scolds the dying man more, saying he failed in that simple task by losing Dingo, and now expects Ding Kun to clean up the mess. A look of pure terror fills Ding Dan's blood-soaked face as he realizes the horrifying truth about his father. Ding Kun reveals a chilling secret, explaining that without Dingo, he has lost a blood relative. This loss, he declares, will cost him many years of his own life. The scene shifts to the chaotic city streets outside the castle. A cruel young man with slicked-back blonde hair, named Ding Yan, another descendant of the hero, laughs wildly while sitting on a large beaten man who serves as his living throne. He cruelly encourages the starving citizens below to fight over scraps of food. The scene worsens as vicious wolves attack them while they scramble. A small child cries in terror as a wolf approaches, and Ding Yan's voice taunts them all, warning that the food will be gone if they do not eat it first. A tall hooded figure, a level 60 enforcer named Nans, appears behind Ding Yan and calls him young master. Nans points out that Ding Yan's pet, the man he is sitting on, has not eaten meat in several days, and he makes a dark suggestion. From a distance, Yun Che and the spirit of Cao Benbin watch the horrible scene. Yun Che grimly thinks that compared to this pure evil, the actions of the other Ding family branch he dealt with seem almost mild. As Yun Che watches the cruelty below, a purple aura of anger forms around him. He wonders if he should step in and show himself. However, his attention is suddenly caught by something else. Beside him, the undead spirit of Cao Benbin bursts out in a wave of blue and black energy, letting out a furious roar in reaction to the injustice. Yun Che looks at his friend's spirit with a sad expression, calling him by his nickname. He thinks that even in this mindless state, his friend's natural desire to help those in need remains as strong as ever. This triggers a memory, flashing back to their shared past. Yun Che remembered that among all the children in the poor slums where they grew up, Qiao Benbin and another boy named Lan Qin were always the kindest and strongest. He recalled finding them standing up to a mean slave driver. It was this courage that led him to take them both in as his students to train them. His hope was that they would grow strong enough to help others in the future. The memory fades, and back in the present, Yun Che feels a deep sense of guilt. He blames himself, thinking it is his fault that his friend is turned into this undead form. Just then, the spirit of Cao Benbin turns to him and manages to say a broken, questioning name, Lan Qian. Yun Che is completely stunned by this sign of returning consciousness. He grabs his friend's spirit desperately, asking if his mind has returned and if he can talk. But the spirit only manages to say another broken word, Ding. Then, suddenly, the spirit of Cao Benbin explodes with a huge surge of blue energy. It struggles but finally puts together a horrifying truth, declaring that Lan Qian is Ding Kun. The truth hits Yun Che with the force of a physical blow, his eyes widening in absolute shock and understanding. Meanwhile, back in the throne room, the armored Ding Kun is standing over the body of his son Ding Dan. After wiping the blood from his gauntlet, he says the name Yun. He wonders aloud if someone is intentionally using a name so similar to his old enemy to provoke him. A grim, knowing look appears on his face as he thinks about how many years it has been since he last heard that name. With a sinister, confident smile, he declares that he will see for himself who dares to pretend to be his dear master. On the city streets, the cruel Ding Yan speaks to his huge orc-like pets. He mocks them for being too well-behaved and tells them he knows they are starving. With a crazy laugh, he points to the terrified and hurt citizens scattered around the plaza, a scene of violence he clearly caused. A small crying child kneels next to a fallen man, too scared to move. With a look of pure madness, Ding Yan declares that since the people are just toys, his pets should eat them all. He gives the command, and one of the giant orcs lunges toward the helpless child. But before the creature can strike, a bright flash of purple light appears. In a moment, the orc is cut to pieces by a series of impossibly fast slices. Yun Che lands smoothly, his back to the chaos, his body crackling with a powerful purple aura. His face is cold with fury, his eyes glowing intensely. He thinks the name Lan Qiang in total disbelief. He cannot understand how his former student is the same person as Ding Kun, the monster who causes this horrible scene. His arrival does not go unnoticed. The enforcer, Nans, steps forward, demanding to know who he is. Ding Yan looks on in shock. Nans laughs, calling Yun Che a fool for daring to enter the hero's territory to die. But Yun Che is lost in his own angry thoughts, his eyes burning with purple fire. He silently wonders how the Lan Qian he knew could possibly raise such a disgusting person like Ding Yan. This brings back another memory. A flashback to a simpler time. A younger Yun Che stood before his two young students, Lan Qian and Cao Benbin. He explained to them that because of the great power of class users, the old era of knights was over. However, he told them that as a knight's son himself, there were still values he wanted to teach them. He promised them that with his help, their strength would grow far beyond that of normal class users. As he spoke, the young Lan Qian looked up at him with bright, admiring eyes, clearly inspired by his master's words. The story flashes back again to a younger Yun Che teaching his two students, the bright-eyed Lan Qian and Cao Benbin. He explains that if they want to keep learning from him, they must remember a few key things. The first, he says, is humility. The lesson is shown next to a memory of the two boys harvesting a field with Lan Qian playfully bragging that he was faster than Cao Benbin. Yun Che reminds them to remember that they are no different from others and must treat everyone with kindness and respect. This is followed by a scene where the boys are being paid by an old man for their work. Xiao Benbin complains that the pay is too low, accusing the man of cheating them. The calmer Lan King quickly tries to stop him, telling him not to make their master angry, but Yunche silences Xiao Benbin with a sharp command. After the lesson in humility, the younger Yunche gives his students a book, explaining it as an extra reward. He tells them to remember this feeling of being rewarded for their work and to never let themselves become arrogant. The scene changes back to the present-day battle. Yunche attacks with a furious storm of purple energy slashes. The attack is so strong that it completely breaks Nan's arcane shield skill, leaving the enforcer wounded and in total shock at his opponent's attack power. Yunche looks on with cold focus. Nans is enraged, shouting that his equipment was legendary grade level 30 gear and that his protective necklace was also destroyed. Behind him, Ding Yan, filled with anger, points at Yunche, calling him a filthy commoner and promising to show him the true power of someone from a higher class. Unfazed, Yunche charges forward to meet the challenge. This brings back another flashback to his second principle, compassion. The memory shows him and the two boys in a ruined city, giving food and help to a starving, helpless man. Yunche explains that they must be kind to the weak and always use a good heart to fight against violence. This is followed by a scene of the two boys bravely fighting off a large man defending the weak. The final memory focuses on Lan Quan. Yunche stands behind him as they look down at a captured criminal. He tells Lan Quan that since he himself was rescued from the same slaver group, he should understand the helplessness of the weak and should make a fair judgment. As Yunche charges, he swings his glowing purple sword in a wide, powerful slice aimed at Ding Yan and his enforcer. However, the attack passes through them as if they were ghosts. They turn into black smoke, and the real Ding Yan and Nans reappear a short distance away, surrounded by the terrified citizens. Ding Yan mockingly comments on how pleased Yunche must be to have slashed one of their illusions. The plaza then fills with dozens of identical copies of Ding Yan and Nans surrounding Yunche. The real Ding Yan leans on his enforcer's shoulder and cruelly offers to let Yunche slash more of them if he enjoys it so much. Yunche remains completely calm. Ding Yan continues his taunts, noting Yunche's always angry expression. He cruelly guesses if the anger is for the helpless citizens and then wonders with sick joy if a family member is among them. He gives a twisted challenge telling Yunche to try and slash them again. He wonders what Yunche's expression will be when he finds out that in his rage to cut down the illusions he had actually killed the innocent people instead. As this cruel mind game plays out, Yunche begins to power up his blade of trickery. His sword crackles with purple energy as his attack power increases. A split-screen view shows Yunche's advantage. Through his mirror world skill, he can see both the real world and the parallel one at the same time. He sees the real terrified citizens and the true location of his enemies, separate from the many fakes in the plaza. With his improved senses, Yunche ignores the bait. He rushes forward, his eyes glowing with purple light. His glowing sword swings in a wide, powerful arc that goes past the fakes and hits the real Ding Yan and Nans. They are left completely stunned, unable to understand how he saw through their illusion. The story flashes back to Yunche's third and final principle for his students, courage. The memory shows a young Lan Qian and a young Xiao Benben, standing bravely against a large group of monsters. Yunche explains that one must be fearless. He taught them that in the battle against the dangers of dungeons, there is no room for fear. One must fight for what is right. The memory shows the two boys fighting hard, wounded, but refusing to give up. After the battle, the younger Yunche finally appears. An angry Xiao Benben confronts him, shouting that they were almost killed, while Lan Kane expresses his relief that it's over. The younger Yunche smiles, telling his students not to worry, as he was always nearby, watching over them. Faced with Yunche's amazing power, Ding Yan immediately panics. He admits that his opponent is strong and in a show of pure cowardice orders his enforcer Nans to stop using illusions and act as a human shield to buy him time to escape. As he runs, he screams a threat over his shoulder, warning Nans that if anything happens to him, his grandfather will surely kill him. Left to face Yunche alone, a terrified Nans desperately tries to cast a powerful spell, summoning a human delusion swamp. He complains that as a caster, he is at a big disadvantage without his illusion magic. Just as he is about to cast, Yunche vanishes from sight. Nans looks around in a panic, wondering where he went, but it is too late. Yunche instantly reappears directly behind him and with a single clean swing of his sword, cuts him down. The defeated enforcer desperately begs for his life, claiming he is not a member of the Ding family and is just a hired mercenary. He pleads with Yunche to go after the escaping Ding Yan instead. Yunche ignores his pleas and delivers the final blow without a word. Meanwhile, Ding Yan's escape is stopped by the ghostly large figure of the undead Xiao Benben, who blocks his path. Terrified, Ding Yan immediately tries to use his family name as a shield. He asks what this thing is and reminds it that he is the grandson of a hero. He threatens the spirit, promising to make its entire family suffer a terrible death if it dares to touch him. Before the spirit can act, Yunche appears, summoning a huge shadowy creature that stands over the terrified Ding Yan. As Ding Yan screams in terror, a system window appears before him, showing a list of all his equipped items, his robe, skill books, potions, and belt, being forcefully taken from his inventory. He can only watch in horror, asking what Yunche has done to him. The scene is shown next to the final principles Yunche taught his students, a strong contrast to the evil he now faces. The fifth principle was honesty, the sixth was justice, the seventh was honor, and the eighth and final principle was soul. The huge shadowy creature summoned by Yunche attacks, causing a volley of dark blue energy swords to shoot up from the ground and rain down upon the city. Its target, Ding Yan, lies lifeless on the ground, his time of terror brought to a quick and brutal end. Standing on a bridge looking over the horrible scene, Yunche looks down at the bodies of citizens stuck on spikes. He thinks of his former student Lan Qian, thinking with bitterness on how he had not only ignored every principle he was taught, but had also betrayed both him and Qiao Benben in the past. His sadness turns to pure rage as he thinks about the evil that Lan Qian has let his own family commit, and he silently screams the painful question of why it all happened. A voice cuts through his thoughts, asking why. The shadowy armored figure of Ding Kun, who is Lan Qian, suddenly appears behind him. Before Yunche can react, Ding Kun delivers a powerful punch to his back, mockingly commenting on how much fun he seems to be having in his secret place. The force of the punch sends Yunche crashing into the castle walls, causing a huge explosion of rock and dust. Buried in the rubble, Yunche immediately begins to heal himself, casting a series of basic heal spells as he checks his new powerful equipment. He is now wearing the spider pearl necklace, the distant roar robe, the nether serpent's pants, the nether cave belt, and the nether cave pottery boots. All while his blade of trickery continues to power up his attack. Bloodied but determined, he pulls himself from the wreckage, his mind still filled with the question for his old student, Lan Qian. Why? The shadowy figure of his former student, now fully identified by the system as the level 71 S-class berserker, Lan Qian, also known as Ding Kun, walks towards him through the destruction. Instead of facing him directly, Yunche uses a new plan, throwing a volley of shiny mirror-like shards toward his enemy. Ding Kun easily blocks the objects, confused by what they are and asking if they are mirrors. The shards are a distraction, and Yunche uses them as portals, appearing instantly behind his former student. With his enemy caught off guard, Yunche brings his glowing purple sword down in a powerful strike, his voice filled with the pain and rage of a decades-old betrayal as he screams the question that has been bothering him. Why did you betray us? The strong blow from Yunche's surprise attack shatters a piece of Ding Kun's armor. Ding Kun touches his damaged helmet and grins, noting that for someone to break his armor, their speed and attack power must be unusually high. Yunche's eyes glow with an intense purple light filled with rage and pain. He clenches his fist and screams Lan Qian's name, confirming it is his former student. He desperately asks why Lan Qian chose to betray them years ago. Unimpressed, Lan Qian questions the word betrayal as he summons a huge pixelated greatsword. He thinks to himself that this intruder knows his old name and is also using the name Yunche. He wrongly assumes Yunche is an assassin sent by an old enemy. With a wild grin, Lan Qian charges forward, unleashing a powerful swing with his sword that sends a wave of red energy across the area. After Yunche dodges the attack, Lan Qian appears behind him, mockingly asking if he is trying to impersonate his old master, calling it a bad joke. Ignoring the taunt, Yunche strikes again, screaming his question about the betrayal once more. But Lan Qian easily blocks the attack. With a look of pure disgust, Lan Qian dismisses him, saying he is just a tool and that talking is useless. He immediately counters with a powerful swing of his own. The force of their weapons clashing shatters the ground, creating a large crater and forcing both fighters to jump back. As the dust settles, the undead spirit of Qiao Benben appears at Yunche's side. With a grim look, Yunche challenges his old student, asking what he plans to do about their other friend. Filled with rage, the ghost of Qiao Benben charges forward, roaring Lan Qian's name. Lan Qian looks on in shock at the ghostly form of his old friend. In a flash, he appears before Qiao Benben's spirit, grabbing him by the neck. With a furious roar, he smashes the spirit's head into the ground, demanding to know how he is still alive. As Lan Qian raises his fist to strike again, Qiao Benben's spirit summons a golden barrier to protect itself, but Lan Qian shatters it with a single powerful punch. As the barrier breaks, Lan Qian realizes the truth. He understands his former friend is now an undead spirit. He notes that while Qiao Benben is revived, he does not seem to have much intelligence. As he is distracted, Yunche swings his sword at him from behind, but Lan Qian manages to block the attack. Suddenly, 3 new figures appear on the castle walls above. A man calls out to Lan Qian, calling him father and asking why he has come out. The 3 men, all level 60, say they could have easily handled the intruder themselves. Annoyed, Lan Qian tells them to get lost. Yunche summons his own help, calling the undead spirits of Nans and DONGHUA to fight with Qiao Benben, ordering them to keep the 3 men busy. Lan Qian's eyes widen in shock as he recognizes one of the new spirits. Asking if it is his 3rd nephew, he looks closely at the undead DONGHUA and confirms that his nephew is indeed dead. He mutters about his blood relative with a moment of sadness on his face. However, his sadness quickly turns into a sinister evil grin. Looking at Yunche with new interest, he says that he is starting to find him interesting. He charges forward again, noting Yunche's ability to revive another person as an undead. As Yunche barely dodges a swipe from his former student's claws, Lan Qian stands over him, his form growing more monstrous and his eyes glowing with a mad light. He calls Yunche master, desperately pleading with him to prove that he is who he says he is. With a look of pure insanity, he screams that Yunche must be his beloved master. Bloodied but determined, Yunche looks at him with cold fury. He thinks back to the person Lan Qian used to be, someone who would help others even when he was a suffering prisoner. As his blade of trickery continues to drain his magic to increase its power, Yunche swings his glowing purple sword, screaming in frustration, wondering how his student could have become so crazy and twisted. Lan Qian manages to block the powerful blow. Lan Qian responds with a crazed shout, blaming everything on his dear master. Angered by this, Yunche grabs him, firing back with furious questions. He demands to know what nonsense he is talking, reminding him that Yunche saved him from slavery and gave him power. He asks if Lan Qian has forgotten everything he was taught, but is met with only hysterical laughter. Suddenly, Lan Qian's laughter turns to pure rage as he screams the real reason for his anger, questioning why Yunche took so long to rescue him in the first place as they clash again. His twisted thinking is revealed in a painful flashback to his past where he lay beaten by a slaver. He questioned why he had to suffer so much before being rescued. He then rants about his life after, questioning why. As the student of a mere knight's son, he was expected to live a comfortable life where everyone was polite. A memory showed townspeople greeting the younger Yunche with respect. Lan Qian bitterly asks why Qiao Benben, who never suffered such horrors, was allowed to enjoy the same respected life. His deep jealousy explodes as he asks why Qiao Benben was always stronger than him. He screams at Yunche, accusing him of favoring Qiao Benben simply because his past was cleaner. Finally, he asks the question that seems to bother him the most, demanding to know why Yunche had him change his class to a berserker. He argues with twisted logic that because he was shy and fearful, he should have been made a guardian knight with stronger defenses, not a reckless attacker. Stunned into silence for a moment, Yunche finally responds. He asks when he ever showed favoritism, reminding Lan Qian that he had always wanted to become braver and stronger, and that was the reason for his choice. Lan Qian furiously rejects this, screaming that it is all because Yunche preferred people like Qiao Benben. He insists that he also tried his best to act brave, but then his tone shifts to mocking laughter. He questions if his efforts made Yunche favor him more, then accuses his former master of looking down on him from the beginning because of his past as a slave, telling him to stop pretending. This accusation finally breaks Yunche's calm, his eyes glowing with pure rage. He screams back, asking about compassion and humility, angrily dismissing all the knightly values he had tried to teach. Lan Qian shoots back, asking if any of those values could help him live a better life. He cynically points out that the respect Yunche got was only due to his own power. He sneers that unlike Qiao Benben, who was fooled by Yunche, he would never waste time and chances for leveling up just to save people. With a look of disgust, he again asks Yunche how he could dare to speak of betrayal. Lan Qian's confession becomes a proud declaration. He says that since Yunche could choose Qiao Benben, he was free to make his own choice. He reveals that good old brother Louis was able to offer him a much higher status and greater power. He crazily tells Yunche to look at the results of their choices, comparing Qiao Benben's descendants to his own. He laughs with cruel satisfaction, bragging that Qiao Benben's family can only serve as slaves under his own Ding family. He mocks Yunche's current state and then points to a golden statue of a powerful figure, telling him to look at the high status Louis now holds. As Yunche stands silently, his body crackling with a huge purple aura, Lan Qian delivers his final taunting question, asking him who he thinks made the right choice in the end. The immense purple energy around Yunche surges violently. His blood-streaked face twists into a mask of pure fury as he finally snaps, screaming at Lan Qian and calling him a heartless, ungrateful bastard. Fueled by his rage, Yun Che leaps into the air and throws a volley of glowing mirror shards at his former student. He then unleashes a blindingly fast and complex attack, teleporting between the shards to strike from multiple angles at once. A storm of purple energy slashes overwhelms Lan Qian, who desperately tries to fight off the attack. The force is too much, and Lan Qian's strong armor begins to crack and shatter under the continuous blows, breaking apart completely. After the devastating attack, Yun Che lands, looking down at his hand. He speaks with cold final judgment, agreeing with his former student on one thing. He truly cannot compare to Qiao Benben. With a look of complete disgust, he delivers his final crushing insult, declaring that Lan Qian is not even worthy of being compared to one of Qiao Benben's toes. Lying defeated on the ground in his shattered armor, Lan Qian starts to laugh wildly. A system window appears, announcing that the conditions for his skill, Berserker's Brand, have been met. Surrounded by a furious red aura, his scarred body now bare, he rises to his feet, laughing like a madman as he screams that Yun Che has finally admitted he had a favorite. Another system notification shows his incredible power boost. His attack power has increased by 300% and his speed by 200%. The skill explains that the lower his health, the more his power and speed grow. Now, in a full rampage state, he screams that Yun Che has confirmed his bias towards Qiao Benben, calling him a hypocrite as he dashes forward with blinding speed. The system adds that the Berserker exclusive Rampage skill greatly increases strength and speed, but lowers intelligence and defense. Yun Che is completely shocked by his former student's new speed. Lan Qian moves so fast that Yun Che has to retreat into the mirror world just to survive. Lan Qian's powerful strike slices through a mirror shard instead of him. The force of the missed attack is so great that it cuts a massive trench through the battlefield, slicing the castle itself in half. As Yun Che reappears from another shard in the rubble, Lan Qian correctly figures out that he is using the mirrors to teleport and dodge his attacks. To counter this, he activates another Berserker skill, Furious Blood Rain, mocking Yun Che for being helpless without his tricks. A storm of sharp blood-red projectiles rains down from the sky, shattering the ground. Lan Qian challenges him to a direct fight, sarcastically reminding him that knights are supposed to be brave. Caught in the downpour, Yun Che begins to take constant damage. Meanwhile, Lan Qian walks through his own damaging aura while he also takes small amounts of damage. Each hit activates his Berserker's Brand, continuously increasing his attack power and speed even more. Convinced he is right, he sneers that Yun Che only preaches about virtue when he is safe. He calls him a spoiled noble who has never truly suffered and therefore understands nothing. He charges forward once more, screaming that someone who has never felt his pain has no right to talk about compassion. As Lan Qian swings with incredible force, Yun Che barely manages to dodge the powerful attack. Lan Qian suddenly appears right in front of a shocked Yun Che, mocking his former master's ideals as nothing more than a childish game. With a powerful swing, he unleashes a huge wave of red energy, laughing at the naive idea that friends and students would stay loyal forever. The brutal attack hits and the force of the blow shatters the ground beneath them. Forced to his knees and trapped in the damaging aura of the furious blood rain, Yun Che can only take the continuous hits as his health drops. Lan Qian laughs at his pathetic state, taunting him about how weak he is without his mirrors. With his magic almost gone, Yun Che has to drink a healing potion, barely managing to counter the constant damage he is taking. Lan Qian slowly moves closer, gloating that even if he does not attack, Yun Che can only struggle to survive the damage from the blood rain. Seizing a moment, Yun Che lunges forward in a desperate counterattack, but Lan Qian easily blocks it, saying that his master has not been so fragile in the past. With a cruel sneer, he declares that this is the price of being naive and that Yun Che should thank him for the lesson. In a swift move, Yun Che summons a small ghostly dagger and tries to stab him up close. However, Lan Qian easily catches the blade, continuing his twisted lecture by saying that only by being betrayed can one truly grow up. He begins his own counterattack, mocking Yun Che about how terrible it must feel to fall from such a high position. Yun Che manages to block the strike, but as their blades lock, Lan Qian delivers his final crushing taunts. He gloats about how Louis has become a respected king, loved by the people, while Yun Che himself has been called a traitor, hated by all. Straining with all his strength, Yun Che struggles to hold back Lan Qian's immense power. With a final taunting question, asking if he feels jealous, Lan Qian easily overpowers his former master, sending him crashing into the rocks, buried in rubble and still taking damage from the furious blood rain. Yun Che's health drops to a critical level as Lan Qian laughs wildly. The victor approaches, stating that Yun Che's life is about to end, and that his only way to survive is now in his hands. With a twisted, cruel look, Lan Qian makes an offer. If Yunche admits that he is wrong and gets on his knees to beg for forgiveness, he might be allowed to live as his pet. However, this offer has one key condition. He must reveal the secret of how he can bring the dead back to life. In the darkness, seemingly beaten, Yunche quietly admits he was wrong. As he speaks, he summons a new pair of daggers, the ghostly daggers. He clarifies his statement, declaring that his mistake had been saving Lan Qian from the slavers all those years ago. As a powerful golden aura begins to surge around him, he continues, stating that his second mistake had been trusting heartless people like him. Suddenly, a system message flashes, announcing that Yunche has leveled up. Lan Qian looks on in shock, realizing that his opponent's status has been fully restored. Yunche continues listing his past mistakes. He had been wrong to believe that he could win people over by setting a good example and wrong to think that good people could not turn evil. All this time, his undead minions have been continuously farming experience for him inside the mirror world, providing the final push he needed to level up. With his health and mana now full at level 46, he states his next mistake had been strictly following the Knight's Code. He activates a series of powerful buffing skills from the new daggers, including Aura of Swiftness and Evil Possession. His appearance changes dramatically. His hair turns a ghostly white and he is covered in a powerful ghostly blue aura as his attack power soars. He declares that virtues are not needed to deal with scum like them. With a new look of cold, ruthless determination, he concludes that all that is needed is to eliminate them by any means necessary. Now fully powered up, Yunche charges forward, his new ghostly daggers crackling with energy, and meets Lan Qian head-on. The two engage in a fierce high-speed battle, their attacks clashing in a blinding storm of blue and red energy that tears across the ruined landscape. Lan Qian laughs wildly, thrilled by the fight, screaming that this is how it should be. However, after easily blocking one of Yunche's strikes, he begins to mock his former master. He had thought Yunche had learned a new dual-wielding class, but he now sees that he is just awkwardly holding two daggers. He scolds him, saying that using an unfamiliar fighting style in a real battle is suicide, and that Yunche seems to have forgotten the lessons he once taught him. As a memory of his own past suffering flashes in his mind, Lan Qian swings, but Yunche vanishes before the blow can land. Lan Qian is left confused by his opponent's sudden disappearance. But only for a moment, Yunche instantly reappears behind him and drives a dagger deep into his back, causing him to spit up blood. Enraged and in pain, Lan Qian spins around to counterattack, but Yunche vanishes again. He screams in frustration, demanding to know how it is possible. When all his mirrors are shattered, he frantically searches, and his eyes land on a pool of his own blood on the ground. He sees a reflection and realizes the horrifying truth. Yunche does not need mirrors, but can use any reflective surface, even blood, to teleport. Furious at being tricked, Lan Qian unleashes a powerful ability, causing tendrils of blood to erupt from the ground and cover the entire area. He admits that Yunche has found a loophole, but declares that this new move will leave him with nowhere left to run. Activating his ultimate skill, Blood Frenzy, he confidently states that now there is nothing left for his master to use for reflection. Just as he finishes his boast, a shadowy blade pierces straight through his chest from behind. He turns in utter disbelief to see the ghostly form of his other former friend, the undead Qiao Benbin, standing right behind him. He weakly questions when he got there and how they could have performed a sneak attack. Across the battlefield, Yunche, now back to his original appearance, calmly recalls his undead minions. He states that there is no need to follow the Knight's Code when dealing with someone like him. The battle is over. Surrounded by the ghostly flames of his undead army, Yunche stands atop looking at the fallen Lan Qian. With a look of absolute cold hatred, he delivers his final sentence, declaring that he only wants one thing, for Lan Qian to die. Even with a deadly wound, Lan Qian remains defiant. He calls the undead spirit of Qiao Benbin a loser from 60 years ago, who is no match for him now, and easily cuts the spirit in half. He screams that the more he is hurt, the stronger he becomes because of his berserker skills, but Yunche instantly appears and stabs him again. In his powered-up form, Yunche coldly tells his former student that he knows all his weaknesses. Enraged, Lan Qian curses at him, but Yunche calmly explains the two main weaknesses of the berserker class. The first, he says, is low defense. As Lan Qian swings wildly, Yunche teleports away, and the undead spirit of DONGHUA takes his place, swinging its axe at the berserker. Lan Qian furiously turns and slices the new enemy in half. Yunche explains that the berserker class needs many points in attack and speed, which leaves little for defense. To prove his point, a volley of energy arrows from another undead archer hits Lan Qian in the back, now surrounded by a growing army of Yunche's minions. He learns the hard truth of his build. Yunche explains that with the defense-lowering effects of his own skills, even low-level skeletons can now hurt him. With a furious roar, Lan Qian uses a powerful whirlwind slash, cutting down the minions right around him. He boasts that he just needs to clear out these low-level spirits. But as the dust settles, he sees Yunche and more undead on the cliffs above. Yunche then reveals the second major weakness, a lack of wide-area attacks. He explains that besides the basic whirlwind slash and some straight energy slashes, Lan Qian has no way to deal with a large, spread-out army. The final inescapable trap is revealed as a huge army of undead spirits appears from the shadows behind Yunche. He tells his former student that his mana regenerates fast enough to keep an endless army of undead, making it impossible for Lan Qian to ever kill them all. Refusing to accept his weakness, Lan Qian furiously declares that he does have a wide-range attack and uses his furious blood rain again. But Yunche is ready and calmly summons huge ghostly shields from the ground to protect his army. He then reveals his former student's biggest weakness, having no one he can truly count on. Yunche reminds him of the past, explaining that he and Qiao Benben used to work together, covering each other's weaknesses. He points out the sad irony that the shield that once protected him, Qiao Benben, is now the sword trying to strike him down. He reasons that as someone who gained power through betrayal, it is only natural that no one would ever truly get close to him. As the ghostly form of Qiao Benben appears behind the traitor, Yunche asks if this lonely, bitter life is what he had really wanted. Enraged, Lan Qian rejects the idea of friendship and trust. Swinging his weapon wildly as Yunche dodges, he screams that while he has enjoyed 60 years of absolute power, Yunche has been nothing but a dead man. He insists that he is the one who has been right and that he does not need allies. To prove his point, he moves back towards the city, calling for his family members, Ding Jian, Ding Jiang, and Ding Shun, to come out and fight for him. He lands with a proud look, boasting that he does not need allies because his own family will be his army. In a flash, Yunche appears right behind him, calmly questioning his confidence. Before Lan Qian can react, Yunche swings his blade in a clean, quick move, cutting off his former student's arm at the shoulder. Lan Qian screams in pain and disbelief as his 3 family members watch from the rooftops in stunned horror, calling out to their father. A wave of pure panic hits Ding Jian as he stutters, unable to believe that his seemingly unbeatable father is being so completely defeated. Wounded and desperate, Lan Qian screams at his 3 sons, ordering them to hold Yunche back and heal him right away, but his family members are frozen in terror. Ding Shun stutters, asking how they can possibly fight someone that even their powerful father cannot beat. This hesitation sends Lan Qian into a blind rage. Cursing them, he declares he will do it himself and leaps towards them. In a horrible act of cruelty, he grabs his son, Ding Shun, by the throat. The terrified young man can only cry out, asking his father what he is doing. With a face twisted by madness, Lan Qian screams that everything his children have was given to them by him. He reveals the monstrous truth behind his family, asking what purpose they serve other than to make sure he is healthy and lives a long life. As he speaks, he begins to drain his son's life force. Enraged that he would dare to refuse him, he then threatens his other 2 sons, who watch in frozen horror. He orders them to hold Yunche back, or he will drain them next. Before they can react, a volley of mirror shards appears from thin air, blocking their path. From these portals, Yunche's entire undead army appears, completely surrounding the traitor and his terrified family. The group of spirits swarms them in a chaotic, overwhelming attack, attacking from all sides. Lan Qian screams in pain as he is torn apart by the endless wave of energy and blades. In a final, desperate act, he uses a massive explosive swing of his weapon, creating a huge crater and sending a cloud of dust and debris into the air. When the dust finally settles, Lan Qian is left standing alone in the ruined landscape, breathing heavily. He looks around the now empty battlefield, wondering where everyone has gone. A bloodied Yunche, still in his powered-up form, looks down on his exhausted former student with a smirk, asking if his energy is finally running out. He then reveals his final, most cruel act of revenge. Behind him, the newly resurrected undead spirits of Lan Qian's own sons, Ding Jian, Ding Shun, and Ding Jiang, rise from the shadows. Yunche coldly remarks that despite his youthful look, Lan Qian is still just an old man on the inside and mockingly tells him to enjoy his family happiness. A wave of absolute terror and despair washes over Lan Qian as he realizes that his own children have been turned into undead puppets. Utterly broken, he lets out a choked sound and makes a desperate attempt to run away. Yunche chases after him, calmly, asking if he truly believes he can escape now. Lan Qian's desperate escape is immediately cut short. He is surrounded and relentlessly attacked by the ghostly blue slashes of his own undead sons. As he is torn apart by the ones he once called family, his mind completely breaks. He mutters the word comrades, then master, and finally, with blood pouring from his lips, children. Yunche appears before him one last time. As Lan Kane's fingers are cut off in the brutal attack, his former master tells him with cold finality that he could have had it all. Loyalty, family, and honor. With that, Lan Qian finally collapses, his body and spirit completely shattered. Yunche looks down, his face a cold, emotionless mask. Surrounded by his entire undead army, he stands over the fallen body of the man who had betrayed him. He tells him that where he could have had love and loyalty, he now only has the hatred of those he sacrificed. With his final words, Yunche tells him to face the dead end that he himself had chosen. The story returns to a time over 60 years ago. Yunche was in a workshop with his two young students, Qiao Benben and Lan Qian. He spoke to both of them, congratulating them on successfully changing their class and reaching the S rank. He told them that as their master, he had gifts for them. Yunche explained that he had sent all the best materials he saved over the years to a master craftsman. With great luck, he had 2 weapons of mythic quality made. He gave a huge great sword to an impressed Lan Qian, telling him it was the best weapon he could use at his level. He mentioned its style was similar to what Lan Qian already used, so he should handle it easily. Lan Qian excitedly swung the new sword and sincerely thanked his master. Yunche then turned to Qiao Benben, giving him a large fancy shield. He explained that the shield was a perfect fit for his new class and that with his fighting talent, he would master it quickly. Qiao Benben hugged the shield, seeming to mumble that it was a waste of money, but he clearly loved the gift. After a moment, a confused Qiao Benben asked Lan Qian what he was staring at. Lan Qian pointed at Yunche's own sword, asking why his master had never changed his weapon and wondering if it was old. Yunche held his sword and declared that it was one he would never need to replace, revealing it was the Flowing Cloud sword. He went on to explain that he had once risked everything, spending many years collecting the best secret treasures. He finally sneaked into an SSS-rank secret realm to make this ultimate weapon in an ancient furnace. Even then, he noted it was only a first version. The sword was of unique quality, a level above even mythic, and was one of a kind. He explained that it had a special way of being awakened. It could change like a flowing cloud into any weapon form its user wanted. The real condition for it to take its final form was for the user to form a bond with it through experience. After fighting with it for many years, it had learned to change according to his will and match his strength. Lan Qian was completely amazed by this. Yunche then offered the incredible sword to him, asking if he would like to try it. Overjoyed, Lan Qian excitedly asked if he really could, and just as Lan Qian grabbed the handle of the Flowing Cloud sword, another flashback plays. Later, after a great battle, Lan Qian stood over the dying body of Yunche, whom he had just stabbed with the same sword. That time, he arranged that the scene had to be cleaned up to look like a fierce rebellion for the king. And after that, with a crazy laugh, Lan Qian celebrated that he had finally gotten the one-of-a-kind unique quality weapon. But just when he claimed it, the holy sword began to change shape, becoming twisted by a dark power. Back to the present, a powered-up Yunche, with his hair glowing with white energy, begins to walk forward, narrating about his past life. He remembers that when he faced dangers on the front lines, he never hesitated, even when the path was hard. He believed he could overcome any problem. He grabs the twisted Flowing Cloud sword from the ground, its blade now burning with a fiery aura. The sword begins to change shape in his hand, while he thinks that all his struggles had been for one simple goal: to live a peaceful life with his friends. He stares at his sword, and seeing its broken state, he deduces that the greed has ruined his treasured weapon. Yunche then points the broken blade at the defeated and bleeding Lan Qian, who finally admits that he was wrong. Yunche tells him that he never cared for the fake title of hero. Terrified, Lan Qian begs for his life. In response, Yunche transforms the sword into a huge heavy scythe. He looks down at his former student and asks if it was for this power that he betrayed him and, most importantly, betrayed Qiao Benben. Desperate, Lan Qian reaches out, asking if his former master does not want to know the truth of what happened. Yunche ignores his plea, telling him only to face the dead end that he himself has chosen. With a final quick move, he swings the great scythe and cuts off Lan Qian's head, whose last words about the truth are cut short. Standing as a dark silhouette, Yunche makes a final chilling statement, saying that everything Lan Qian knew he would come to know as well. After the battle, Yunche is now sitting on the throne, looking down at the newly formed undead spirit of Ding Kun, who was once Lan Qian. The spirit, now tied to him, speaks in broken sentences, revealing a shocking truth: he was just bait used by Louis. Hearing this, a look of cold determination crosses Yunche's face. He realizes his path of revenge has only just started. The undead spirit of Lan Qian then hands him a proof of advancement, a rare item, and seems to promise that for this revenge, he will help him become stronger. The story then explains the power system of the world. Because of the strict control over dungeons, ordinary people like minors might only reach level 30 inches their whole lives. Even talented people who join official groups and get promoted can at best reach level 60. This is because level 60 is a huge barrier due to class advancement. Only by meeting certain conditions can a person's class evolve, which unlocks better equipment, stats, and special skills. Only those who complete this advancement can break the level 60 barrier. Yunche looks at the proof of advancement he took from Lan Qian and remembers how important this item is for the process. These kinds of proofs are incredibly rare, even in his past life. When dungeons were open to everyone, only 1 in 10,000 people managed to advance. In the current time, the government controls them completely, making them even harder for ordinary people to get. Yunche thinks about the fact that within the entire hero family, only Lan Qian himself had a proof of advancement, meaning none of his family were able to advance their class. The power difference between someone before and after advancement is huge. Lan Qian, for example, advanced from a simple warrior to a berserker, learning powerful special skills like Berserker's Brand and increasing his strength several times. Looking at the kneeling spirit of his once very powerful enemy, Yunche knows that if it were not for his unique SSS rank skill, Mirror World, he would have had no chance of beating Lan Qian. Yunche considers his next move. Having seen the huge power boost that class advancement gave to Lan Qian, he thinks about what would happen if he, with the powerful base of his SSS rank skill, Mirror World, also goes through the process. So, he activates the proof of advancement he has gotten, and his mind races with the possibilities as he wonders just how strong he could become. The system begins the advancement process, scanning his stats and confirming that he meets the requirements to advance. It then shows him 3 possible advanced classes for a chanter, war dancer, bard, and forest musician, asking him to pick one to begin the advancement quest. Yunche reaches out. His decision has already been made. He had long ago decided on his path. He chooses the war dancer, a very rare advancement that only a few chanters can get and the only one that has powerful attack skills. However, just as he selects his new class, an unexpected message from his own unique skill appears. The Mirror World system asks him if he wishes to reverse the War Dancer class. Yunche is left completely stunned, realizing with disbelief that his ability can even reverse the nature of an entire class.